What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the return of Clock Radio Speakers. I'm not gonna lie, a little quicker than I had anticipated, but life happens and I needed to put the suit on. We had to put the hat on. Um, I'm Armond Wake Up. You can follow me on all social media at Armond Wake Up, ARMOND Wake Up, all one word. But more important than that, please follow the official Clock Radio Speakers Twitter handle, which is at CRS Podcast. Um, Well, yeah, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. This is what happens when you're on maternity leave. You forget your passwords. So Doc is here. Doc, what's up, man?
Oh man, what's going on? Y'all can follow me on Twitter or Instagram if you want at doc_beats, S not a Z, but like Armand said, just follow the show. I did a couple solo episodes. Had Marissa guest to do some Q&A while Armand was gone. But good to have you back, man. Glad everything's good.
No doubt. Glad to be back.
Yeah.
Not under the circumstances again,
Right.
but good to be back.
Right.
So,
So why are we back, man? Why did we come back early?
man, a rapper who defined my teenage years uh passed unexpectedly and untimely. DMX died. Well, he died Friday.
Yeah.
Friday. The rumor is that he passed Thursday night, but they didn't announce it until Friday. But he initially had the heart attack. Was it Sunday?
He
Or
was
the
in and out
Friday
of the
before?
hospital, yeah, for a little while. He was in the
Yeah,
hospital for a little while, and there was a lot of rumors because social media.
social media. But yeah, right, because we haven't had an autopsy. That's correct. So the rumors of what it was, but he was in the hospital, brain dead.
Right.
Um, you know, News reports say they ran some tests on Wednesday for brain activity. There was minimal brain activity, and the family decided to do what they felt was best. Man, DMX 50 years old.
Yeah,
That is
only
not
50.
only 50. That is
Only
not old.
50. Right. So
It's
if
not.
he's 50 now, that means when he sort of jumped into the public eye, he was 27, 28. That's crazy, man.
He was a little older because you're seeing the youths do their Googles,
Yeah.
and old Tupac disses are coming back up, and old music videos from the early 90s are coming back up.
Yeah.
Like when we say DMX blew up overnight, it isn't this thing where like, the youths are like, yeah, I just started rapping in January. I wrote my first song and I got a deal. Like, no, X was like notorious in the underground scene in the early 90s throughout New York for a long time.
He was in unsigned hype in the early 90s.
Yeah,
He was signed to Columbia Records, put out Born Loser,
that's right.
which didn't do anything because it wasn't his time.
Wasn't his time. There's pictures. There's a picture that came out this week of DNY from Rough Riders meeting with Suge Knight in, I think, '95 in an attempt to get Suge to sign DMX to Death Row, which is very interesting. So he was grinding for a while prior to '97 when things started to project up, or
It's interesting you
'98.
mentioned that because like when I was listening to Dark as Hell and Hell is Hot again, not that I need to listen to it again, but want to make sure I'm ready.
Oh
It
man, it's all
it
I've been listening to this week.
it it hit me that some of the because like the we talk about like how the sound of New York hip hop changed with quote unquote keyboard beats, but there was like a whole lot of different kinds of keyboard beats. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And what um, oh man, I can't think of his name. Dane
Dame
Grease was
Grease.
doing
Yeah.
like a lot of his kind of keyboardish beats were almost kind of like an East Coast version of the sound on Machiavelli a little bit. If you want, it's like a lot of minor key, like some of that
Okay.
stuff is somber, like different drums and a different bounce, but like it's not that far removed.
It was I could see that comparison because some of those records on Is Dark and Hell Is Hot are dark,
Yeah,
similar to Machiavelli, and we've been talking about that on
yeah,
recent episodes. Yeah, it's really weird because you're right. So take a record like ATF,
yeah,
you know, just the stabs and the bell and chimes and stuff. It's a
yeah,
little up tempo, but it's like those are still keyboard sounds.
Or like
But when
Damien,
we
right?
very much like Dame, right, dun, dun, right, versus when we think of keyboard beats and when we talk about keyboard beats, we think of one Biz Sweets. And we're I mean, you can't talk about X without talking about Swiss. So we will be getting a lot of Swiss beat jokes off today.
I was thinking to myself, like, it's too bad that like Casio doesn't sell like for kids like my first Swiss Beats keyboard. Like get it for you. Like you press one button, it's like the down bottom horns. You press another button, like just give that to your kid. Just watch your kid there and be like, oh.
I felt like did Swizz ever do anything with Casio?
It's a good question.
Because if not, that is a bag that was extremely fumbled.
No, because there was a rumor for a long time that that he he was sued by Casio, but he wasn't.
Okay.
But people thought that because people are like, oh, this sounds so simple, blah blah blah. But yeah,
No, those are just stock sounds.
right, right, right.
Yeah, he's like ahead of that. He absolutely, if selling packs were a thing,
Oh,
like selling sound packs were a thing in the late '90s, oh, Swiss would have made a killing. Can you imagine like sampling Swiss beats? How cats are making samples now. Your Soul Surplus, your Frank Dukes, like Swiss
I
is
mean,
like Down Bottom is a whole sample, it's a whole song, and they just took a chop out. Twisted Heat is a whole song. They just took 3 seconds out.
you're gonna make me sample that, aren't you? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, please don't, Doc. Please don't. Please don't. Let it sit where it
Let it
is. That's
sit.
another thing. We're definitely going to. Actually, no, we're not going to talk about Ja Rule. Not Ja Rule. I'm sorry. No, we're absolutely talking about Ja Rule. We're
Yeah.
not going to talk about Drag On today.
No, I know. It's funny because when you go back and listen, like, yeah, you think DMX and Rough Riders, but like, whenever it came time for like DMX, like for the rest of the Rough Riders crew, DMX was really not as involved as you'd think. Like the Rough Riders volumes were honestly more like Eve Dragon and Locke's vehicles than like there'd be
Absolutely.
like the one DMX record maybe, but like
Absolutely.
he was always somewhat kind of distant from it in a weird way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there'd be the posse cut,
Sure.
and the posse cut, he's got the last verse or he's got the first verse.
Right.
So either he's out the way, like, let me just do what I got to
Yeah.
do real quick and leave, or everybody gets their stuff off. We're 4 minutes into the song. Here's my 16. We're done.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, part of that is because like those volumes were. I mean, towards the end they become whatever. But like the first two are specifically trying to let everybody else get their bars off.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. I've never regretted more than now never getting that Rough Riders merch that was in the It's Dark and Hell is Hot
I
booklet.
saw that image float around on social media.
Oh, such a time. That was such a time. We got to add that was a time to the bingo board.
It took a certain kind of white boy to wear Rough Riders gear, and that was just not me.
You could have just they just had the one that said DMX on it. Like that would have been fine. But like you wearing the big R or the
I was
bandana,
gonna say you gotta have the bandana, and then
nah.
eventually you gotta get it tied around the wrist too. You gotta have like all the bandanas.
You got to have another bandana tied around your jeans or your cargo pants. Like because LL would have one pants leg up and it was a sweatpants, so the rib at the bottom
Right.
would sit on the leg. When you didn't have that and the your jean opening was this big, you had to fold it over and then tie the rag around it to keep it up.
Well, we didn't have YouTube to tell us how to tie how to get your one jean leg up, because that would have been a video in 1997.
That would have been your sister or your girlfriend or somebody who, because
Somebody had to put you on.
somebody had to put you on, man. And it
Otherwise, you're
was,
sitting there looking at all Cool J, and you're like, how did he do that?
yeah, yeah. It's crazy. I forgot why I was bringing up
I
drag.
don't know.
Oh, that's why. Because okay, guys, remember, this was we did a Rough Riders retrospective. You can check that at clockradiospeakers.com. But my wife and I was so disappointed. We were listening to Ride or Die, the intro
Yeah,
from
yeah, yeah,
where they resample Headbangers. Drag On cuts on. And my wife makes a really interesting Clock Radio Speaker statement.
yeah.
She was like, man, Drag On was supposed to be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I love Drag On. And I was so mad when his album came out. And I was like, who are you? Are you Doc? But because
They tried.
Dra- Dragon had such a good rap voice. He could actually rap.
Yeah.
He was interesting. He was engaging. But they just stuck him with the C team producers, and they dropped
Yeah.
a heat check clunker like, oh, we're the Rough Riders. We can just put out whatever. And Swiss only does what, one record on that album?
Yeah. Spit these bars.
He does the first single, that's it. No street single, no nothing. Everything else is
Here's the actual. So going back and listening, I realized, there's a couple exceptions, right? Obviously, we'll talk about some of these records today because we're going to do a definitive. We haven't even said it. We're doing a definitive 15 for DMX because it's more than time, and it's a good way to talk about his career and his legacy. But when
absolutely.
you go like low key, Swiss kind of gave more of his heat to non Rough Rider rappers. I mean, he really did. Like, there's some records that definitely like let's just say it's more than 50-50. Like you would sort of expect he might hold some back or whatever, but
Hmm.
no. And actually, you look at 98, you know, that's the fascinating thing about DMX in 98 is like you think Swiss Beats, you think DMX, but like with the exception of Rough Riders Anthem, like most of Swiss in 98 is like the rest of New York hip hop, you
Yeah.
know? It's Cam, it's all
Jay.
these, it's Dre, it's Jay, it's all these other records that he does,
Yeah.
um,
But the Jay, and we talked about this again on the retro. It's like the one song you got you got PK Killer and you got Dame Grease who do 98% of DMX's first album, which in turn crafts the Rough Rider sound.
right,
Swiss gives him one record, and that becomes like, okay, this is the direction we're going in.
yeah,
And it was weird because as I'm thinking about it, and I wish I would have done a deeper dive, but like, you know, you would see a record and they would start saying featuring Swiss Beats. So you would like want to tune into that. And like in a lot of those cases, even Swiss Beats, drag on Swiss Beats. I mean, whatever, but like the Locks really didn't do anything with Swiss in the beginning.
no,
But
not
like
until later. Well, all
those
for the
rec
all for the love is Swiss, right?
yeah, but that's Bad Boy Locks.
Yeah, I
So
know.
I'm talking about like Rough Riders era of Locks. But like those Swiss records with the Rough Riders, you're right. They're not that good. Where he's giving Jay Money Cash Hoes. He's giving, you know, what did he do with Cameron?
Um,
Or are you just talking about the sound of?
no, he did. Hold on, did he do Glory? Hold on,
I thought that was that?
that's Swiss. Glory is definitely
Okay, that's
Swiss.
Swiss.
Yeah. He also did Shanghai, which the less said about that song, the better. But Glory is, that's
Did you
that's like the personification of 98 New York City.
Oh, he also did. Of course, he did Banned from TV.
Yeah,
Forgot
yeah, yeah.
about that. Banned from TV. Down Bottom. Um, Myth Bleak is a Clock Radio speaker staple. We should do a playlist of like Clock Radio speakers essentials of just songs that we make fun of all the
It's
time.
gonna be a lot of Swiss.
It is. It is. Did you watch the I meant to send this to you. Did you watch the Cameron Drink Champs?
No, I've seen a lot of clips from it that have
It's
flown
really
around, but
good.
is it? Yeah,
It's 3 hours,
it's a lot,
but
man.
it doesn't feel like it. The last hour is a little bit of a stretch because then they
Mm.
start talking about like, why him and Jim fell out and Nori's such a bad interviewer. But when he gets into like his Rockefeller bag, maybe like 30, 45 minutes in,
Yeah.
even explaining and even sharing the story that PD Crack was not signed to state property
Hmm.
and Cameron wanted to sign the Diplomats. So remember on Diplomats Volume 2, the original version of One for PD Crack is just Jay and Jewels.
Interesting.
But I'm sorry, Cam and Jewels. But um, the story is, and this is why Cam deleted Jay's verse on Old Boy, is because Jay wanted Cam's verse deleted off of One for PD Crack. So he
Hmm.
almost did it back like it's just being
Yeah,
petty.
yeah, yeah.
No, whatever.
Hmm.
All the things we missed, and we're also going to talk about things that we missed due to Jay-Z. So I'm definitely ranting and cussing him out on this show, and he's going to hear it too because he's a fan.
He should be a fan. He should really like subscribe to the top tier of our Patreon. So if you're
Absolutely.
listening to this and you aren't a member of the Clock Radio Speakers Patreon, normally the way we do it is full episodes plus bonus audio goes to Patreon subscribers, and then we have sort of like a certain, like maybe call it like a 20 to 35 minute, depending on whatever, like a decent little chunk of the conversation, but you're missing a lot. Typically now goes out into the regular feed that you're listening to right now probably. So
Hmm.
if you aren't a member of the Patreon and you like the show, you want to show your support, head to patreon.com/CRS podcast.
Absolutely.
Oh, wait,
This is we didn't know we did also did not know that this is going to be a free
that's
episode.
right.
So this is for the community, but we going back to the streets after this. So if you haven't listened, I'm sure we'll probably get a nice little listener bump. Um, if you haven't listened to the show in a while, that's what we are. We are on Patreon Boulevard, on the corner, one pants leg up.
Oh
So
man.
definitive 15.
So before we get to the actual definitive 15, I have a question for you.
Okay. Okay. What's up?
So think about like the setup for DMX for him coming out in
Mm,
his first year, and then kind of like that first year that he had.
yeah.
Was it the best ever? I think the contenders are Mace, Snoop, DMX.
50.
The first year maybe, but the setup, the rollout for DMX is unbelievable.
For me, the top three
Yeah.
are Mace. I'm not sorry, not Mace. Mace is not in that conversation at all to me. I'm actually
Really?
surprised at you. Yeah, nah, I wouldn't
Are
say
you
that.
kidding? So Mace does the first time we really hear Mace is the Only You remix, right?
Yeah,
Then he's on Can't Nobody Hold Me Down.
yeah.
Then he's on More Money, More Problems.
I see what you're
And
saying.
then he puts out his debut album. That's a
I see what you're
ridiculous
saying.
run up.
I see what you're saying. I see. Then he's on Honey and all that stuff.
Right,
Okay, I
right, right,
got you. I
right.
got you. I got you. I got you. But I don't. Okay, so with all that said,
Yeah,
that's a great
that's a
rollout,
great
or it's a great run.
it's a great
It's a great build
setup,
up.
but then maybe
Setup.
his album isn't on that same tier as the rest of them for sure.
Yeah, but I think the anticipation wasn't as high.
Mm,
My top three are gonna be DMX, Snoop, and 50.
mm,
The reason why I say 50's different is because back then mixtapes were different. So nobody but, Dipset and G Unit were they kind of set themselves up with the mixtapes. So then adding in Eminem, Dr. Dre, biggest,
sure.
rappers and hip hop, personalities in the world, that's set up to where Get Rich or Die Trying is a fever pitch. Same thing with Snoop, Deep Cover, The Chronic, Nothing But a G Thing, Dre Day, like even the murder trial, like
Yeah.
unfortunately, Doggy Styles at a feverish pitch. DMX. It's interesting because I want to hear. I'm sure you have the timeline of
I
the
do.
the setup
I do.
because for a lot of us, the timeline is shiny suit, shiny suit. Get at me, dog. And then it's dark as hell is high.
Right, right.
So, but what actually happened?
So the fall of '97, he's on 4321, which
Mm,
really is kind of like Def Jam introducing him as like here's this guy, which they did. It's honestly they gave him the Foxy Brown treatment, right? Foxy Brown is on I Shotcha, another L
mm-hmm,
Cool J posse cut,
mm-hmm.
right, and gets that slot. DMX 2 years later gets the exact same slot,
That's
right?
right.
But then call it like late fall into like early spring of '98. Here's what happens, right? So
Okay.
he's on 24 Hours to Live, which becomes a video. He's on Money, Power, Respect, which isn't just a video, but that itself is like the Locks album really is the transition from Shiny Suit to Rough Riders, because the first single is If You Think I'm Jiggy, and it
Mm-hmm.
bricked. And
Right.
then they were like Money, Power, Respect was the second single, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then in February of '98, same time frame, also also Def Jam giving him the sort of look, he has the guest spot on Shut 'Em Down for Onyx.
That's right.
So that's 4 grimy, like, posse cuts basically that he is on
Yeah.
before he even, and then right on top of that is Where My Dog's At, Stop Being Greedy, How's It Go, like the whole DMX run, right? So like that
Yeah.
lead up, the Def Jam machine was just unparalleled. So
That's interesting.
so we've talked a lot of times in the show before about the sort of infamous Survival of the Illest um, uh, samplers, right? So
Can anybody find
I
those?
have them.
God bless
I
you.
just
Please
downloaded
send them
them
to Dropbox.
as we were waiting. Yeah, I got 1 and 2, and then I found just a link where it's like some web player you can listen to number 3.
Okay. I
But
never had two because I didn't buy the second one because the second one, Onyx's whole Shut 'Em Down album is on the
I was
first
gonna,
one.
yeah, it's on the first. I feel bad for Onyx, kind of
For
like if
real.
you bought that DMX album the first week, which 600,000 people did, you
Myself
kind of
included.
didn't need the Onyx album.
Didn't need it. Didn't need it.
Um, no, and so they switched it up for number 2. Number 2 is just 2 tracks, but that second track is like a long sampler.
Hmm.
So number 2, the first song is Ja Rule rhyming over criminology, and then
What?
yeah,
I've
and
never heard that.
I didn't until this morning either. And then the second and then the second track is like 20 minutes long, and it's full cooperation and a bunch of other records, and it's like some other snippets from the Def Squad album. Then number
Okay.
3 is almost more like a mixtape where it's like Method Man and Redman host it.
That was
But
on because that was on the Def Squad album. I
right,
have.
and that's Ja Rule Kill 'Em All, a Slick Rick record, a J.O. Felony record, Keith Murray Incredible, a Richie
Oh,
Rich song, Cormega's Killer's theme,
I remember
Method
this.
Man Gridiron Rap, Meth
Yeah.
and Red Big Dogs, and then an exclusive remix of 4321. So they switched it up because they realized we can't just give away the whole album.
Right.
But before that, in the fall of '97, Def Jam put out a limited edition sampler tapes. They were cassette tapes.
I remember
There
those.
were 11 of them. They had different
Yes.
like comic style illustrations on the front, but they were the
Hmm.
same track listing, right? It was a DMX and Ja Rule freestyle, an EPMD record, crew. It was like a whole kind of sampler, but like
I remember that.
on that
Yeah.
is 4321 as well. Like 4321, like they knew what they had there with LL and Cannabis, yeah, but also like they were pushing DMX. Like Irv was the guy who he brought DMX into Def Jam. He
Sure.
insisted on it. Like
For
he
sure.
he did that whole thing, and their machine was just unparalleled.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
go ahead.
I was gonna. The only thing it's weird that that's the buildup because I remember it in reverse. I
Mm.
remember hearing "Get at Me, Dog" and then all of those records. So that's very interesting that it was actually in reverse.
Get at Me Dog starts as a freestyle,
It's right. It's DMX and the Locks,
right?
and
It
it was
starts
supposed to be the Locks record.
right. It starts as a freestyle, and then they're like, "No, we're just gonna."
Nah, we need this. Yeah, because it was bubbling because I remember hearing about X um, through that freestyle because that was one of the early Clue tapes that I had heard, and people were like, "Yo, this DMX dude is crazy." From that, so yeah.
I mean, we're going to talk all about his '98 run, but like his '98 is just it's unbelievable, right?
It's unbelievable.
4
Yep.
singles from the first album. Then he puts out Belly, right? Never mind that he puts out another album at the end of the year, which I think most people have heard about. I think we've obviously talked about it before, but basically he got a $1 million bonus from Def Jam to finish an album within 30 days by the end of the year. Why do they want to do that? Is it just regular record company greediness? It's like a special kind of record company greediness. I definitely told the story in the show before, but in case you haven't heard it, Def Jam was about to renegotiate their contract with Universal, their deal with Universal.
Mhm.
So this is before Universal like owned them outright. So the terms of the renegotiation, the contract said, when we go to renegotiate, the price will be based on gross sales for the calendar year of 1998, not profit, gross sales. That meant
Mm-hmm.
that Def Jam was incentivized to put out as much stuff in 1998 as humanly possible. There's a reason why the fall of 1998 was like a different Def Jam album every week, it seemed like. Everybody got the
That's Def Jam. It's Def Jam 2000.
if you were a Def Jam artist in 98 and you didn't put out your album, something was terribly wrong. I mean, how
Yeah.
did Cormega not get an album out that year on Def Jam considering he was signed to
Right.
Def Jam and they were putting everything out? So Def Jam's
Right.
like, yeah, we'll give DMX an extra million because record companies would gross about $10 per CD sold. So
Mm-hmm.
when you, even though his album only comes out 3 days before Christmas, it does 600K that first week. That's 6+ million in gross revenue. So pay a million to get six, they'll do that any day of the week. That
Do
was
that
good
any
money
day.
for them.
Yep.
Plus,
Yep.
it bumped that purchase price even higher, and then they all cashed out and made a ton of money. But DMX is just like his '98 is, I can't think of anything like it.
Yeah, man.
He's ever. I mean, we haven't even talked about. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other records, right? Murdergram, What You're Gonna Do with J.O. Felony. Like everybody got a DMX first. You know,
Yep.
it was
You
incredible.
get a verse. You get a
Yeah, I
verse. Yep.
mean,
Yep.
who do we need to sell?
Right. Sticking with DMX, and it worked
Yeah. Well,
consistently.
yeah, they did. I mean, they were really good. Def Jam in the late '90s was really good at doing the thing where like they use an established artist to introduce a new artist, and then
Mm-hmm.
when that new artist becomes the star, they hook another established artist, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
when DMX gets on, there's a reason why those Survival of the Illest tapes all have like a Ja Rule freestyle at the start, like, and then they hook Ja Rule onto. They give Jay Z "Can I Get a," and they're like, nope, they're using their existing stars to set up Ja Rule. Like they were
Yep.
doing the machine, it worked.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right,
That's good. That's good wrestling booking.
that's right, that's
That's
right.
how you do it.
All right. With all that being said, are you ready to talk about the definitive 15 DMX records?
Yes, I am.
Excellent.
Let's get into it.
So, if you haven't heard this before, when we do definitive 15s, what we try to figure out is we try to imagine, and this is actually really applicable now. Let's say you're introducing somebody to this artist, to somebody who has maybe heard a little, but they don't really know this artist. So you're
Mm-hmm.
picking 15 songs. We go in all sorts. We go in all sorts of different directions. Sometimes we just literally say these are the 15 like no-brainer classics. We got to pick them. Sometimes it's like, yeah, for this artist you want to represent their catalog. You want to sort of give everybody a little taste. So there's all sorts of different angles we can take this. So Armand, did
Mm-hmm.
you come at this with a particular angle?
I did. There are three different um, attributes where you get the strongest DMX.
Hmm.
And so I broke that down with his essentials.
Yep.
So just this is bare bones foundational. When you think of DMX, you think of these songs. His collaboration / guest verses, because like you just explained, hooking him to other
Yep.
artists. He was responsible for launching a lot of other people. And then his introspection, his transparency, those records, you know, there's an article going around where Irv Gotti was talking about how they did like SOBs in '98 after DMX's album comes out, and he does the prayer, and at the end of the prayer, he's like, there's like the hardest, thuggiest of
Hmm.
thugs crying along with DMX as he's praying. DMX's ability to connect to a wider range of people, you know, thugs loved him, kids loved him, women loved him. Like it was, there were a lot of Tupac connections because that was a similarity. They both found a way to connect to multiple people without compromising who they were. So, and he's got music that represents that. So, those were the three categories I went into. Um, how about you?
I had 5 categories. I did the same thing.
Five.
I mean, it's
Okay.
pretty close, but because I was kind of inspired by when Marissa was on and we did the Kanye retro, and she like picked the different kind of Kanyes. Because I think DMX had, because I'm approaching this like I'm trying to. These aren't necessarily my 15 favorites. Some of them are
Mhm.
definitely here because they're favorites, but I wanted to at least make sure I captured because he had party records, right? More than like
Mhm.
radio records, they were kind of like they were very energetic, right? So he's definitely got those kind of records. He had what I mean. I guess makes me sound old. What you can only describe as tunnel bangers, which are different than the
Yeah.
party records,
Yeah,
right?
they are.
Also, I had the guest appearances. I also had introspective records, and then honestly, he had a couple in this genre. I mean, again, late '90s. They were called this in the late '90s, so I apologize because it sounds derogatory. DMX had chick records,
Mm-hmm.
very
They did.
transparently designed to try to soften his image, very purposefully shot, very purpose. Even though when you listen to the lyrics, you're like,
We're gonna talk about one of these
we
records in
are,
the
because
lyrics,
it's
and
hilarious.
I was in the car. Yeah, I was in the car laughing, just in shock. Like, are you serious? And women love to
I
this
know.
day still love this
I
song.
know,
We'll get there.
I
We'll
know,
get there. We'll
I
get there.
know.
We'll get there.
So I had those five because I think like I want to make sure I pick some from all of those and like you know and try to represent that a little bit. And then I've got some honorable mentions because it's DMX.
Of course, it's clock radio
That's
speakers,
right.
and that's what we do.
That's right.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
You, I, you go first.
This is
I noticed with
yeah.
these 15s, I go first. I go first. So I want you to go
The
first.
one I was gonna start with I can't take because this is your record. So let me take a different one here. You know what? I'm gonna take
Okay,
it.
which one? I got a lot of my
I
records. So
know,
which one?
I know. We'll get there. We'll get there. You know what? I'm gonna start with I'd already mentioned it because it was something that helped set him up. Um, I think you got to talk about 4321. I think it has to be on the
Absolutely.
list
Yep.
because it introduces DMX kind of in his whole aesthetic to the world. You know?
Even the video looks like a DMX video.
Yeah.
It's not a LL Cool J video at all.
No.
This is Phenomenon. So this is a very glossy LL Cool J. Much like the locks with If You Think I'm Jiggy, Phenomenon, the song Bricks.
Oh yeah.
Is 4321 the second single from
I'm
that
looking
album?
that up right now. It is.
They're like, nope, go to the streets.
Right, even though they really tried to put out Candy as a single.
They did. They did.
Man, that phenomenon. Oh god. That
It's
vi-
not good. LL's every we talk every,
yeah,
he's every other album.
every other album. Yeah. They tried.
They tried.
They tried. Wait, Phenomenon's only 10 songs?
It sounds about right, 10 or 11. The last song is Father, right? Where he samples the George Michael
He
record.
does sample Father.
Yeah. That was a single too.
Yeah. He had they put out 5 singles, and this album only has 10 records. They really tried.
They
Um,
tried. What's the other single?
so Phenomenon 4321, Father, Hot Hot Hot, oof, and then Candy, oof. They totally misread. You know what I mean, the problem is like they didn't really have. Once it's very clear that like hip hop's turning in a different direction, they didn't really have a second move for this album. You know,
So so it's like when it's like if you're playing basketball against a guy and he keeps going right and you cut him off going right and he can't do
he's like, oh,
anything
that's
else
all I
after that.
got.
Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got. That's funny.
Yeah, yeah. Fourth,
And that's interesting because they dictated they were responsible for that turn. So how are you responsible from the turn away from shiny suits, but at the same time your other artists you don't set them up too? Did they underestimate what DMX was gonna do for that sound and what that was gonna do to the shiny suit era?
part of the problem is you got to look at who executive produced Phenomenon. It wasn't the in-house A&Rs at Def Jam. Irv Gotti
Mm.
has nothing to do with this project. Puff produces it.
Ah,
Puff didn't see the turn coming either.
didn't see it coming. Hit him in the face.
Despite the fact that they had records. I mean, even on like Harlem World, there's a deeper bench of other kind of records that you can turn to. But like
24 hours to live.
24 Hours Live,
Did Take What's Yours with DMX on it.
right? But this is such a short album. Excuse me. And they banked so heavy on that sound because
Yeah.
it comes out October '97.
Yep.
Phenomenon is September '97. Like this is,
Yep.
September '97. Honey is like the #1 song in America.
Sure.
Like they're just, yep, we're flying LL Cool J right into this. It's gonna be great. Maybe not.
And it
How
doesn't
does
work out.
Phenomenon? I mean, that first of all, well,
He probably still went platinum.
I mean, the album went double platinum. No,
Yeah.
just platinum, just platinum.
Just platinum. Okay.
Boy, that stinks. So for that album to only go platinum, Every single song has a sample. Production like by either Puff, the Hitman, Trackmasters, or of course the one Eric Sermon record. Like that's an
That's an
expensive
expensive album.
album for
Yes, it
1997.
is. Yes, it
Yeah.
is. Yeah. But 4, 3, 2, 1.
Mm.
What makes this song so great?
I mean, it's not just DMX that, like, let's be clear. It's not just DMX that makes this song great, right? I
Hmm.
mean, the reason why I think it was put out as the single is because they wanted to capitalize on the L Cool J and Cannabis beef, right?
But that's what start. But that's
But the
what's the
story,
timeline
but
on
the
it? The stories
story comes
before.
out. But like, there was a hook to it at least, you know? Like they could sell
So
that to people.
so this so then is cannabis? I guess that maybe this is the phone call. So cannabis is complicit in this. Because of course, okay. So for those of you who don't know, we haven't talked about DMX at all.
Sorry.
We're talking about LL, Puff, Def Jam. So the story is Cannabis's original verse from 4, 3, 2, 1 has a reference to the tattoo of the microphone on LL's arm that he had like infamously gotten around this
Yeah.
time. So all this is kind of on the low underground where LL asked Cannabis to change, or LL asked Cannabis to change it. He changes it, and then he puts out the verse that it's, or he writes the verse, which is in response to that.
Yeah.
Nobody would have ever heard about or heard Cannabis's verse. Clue gets a hold
Right.
of the original version, and Clue's version. So that's how people know that there's a beef.
Yeah.
Um, so with that being said, and there's an infamous, you can check on YouTube. There's an infamous LL Cool J and Cannabis phone call. I don't know if this is after second round knockout. I don't remember, but they're discussing like, LL's kind of like being OG and kind of schooling him now how the industry works and this is what you should do and whatever, whatever, whatever. But what's the timeline on that for Cannabis to still say, yeah, I'll shoot the video.
That's a good question. I'm not. I mean, because can I mean honestly, Cannabis needed a look too. His album was coming
He
out.
did.
Wait, was this? No, yeah, his album was coming out next year. You know.
Yeah, his album came out in 98.
Um,
September? Why do I remember
yeah,
these
September '98.
random?
That's right. Yeah,
God,
September.
why do I remember these random album release dates? I wish I could figure out a way to make money or for that to be useful somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like it's. I think DMX is noteworthy on this because like, it's he was just like instant energy, and just a whole different kind of feel for New York hip hop. Like
Mm.
there was a real like almost like I mean eventually it almost becomes like okay there does become a point where you're like all right DMX has a certain type of guest appearance that he sometimes will pull out but for
Sure.
4321 you were like whoa hold on
Yeah, it was new.
it was totally new and it was a griminess and it was a grittiness that just people were like well, I'm sorry what is this you know
Yeah.
his whole aesthetic was just different.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, yeah, I mean, it's jarring because of what was going on in hip hop at the time. It sounds like it in retrospect, but for LL to put all of his eggs in the shiny suit Puff Daddy basket, that's considered a safe bet.
Well, especially when if you read the story about how 4321 comes together, originally it's a Trackmasters beat with a loop.
Hmm.
It's totally different. And so
Okay.
Eric Sermon takes it and is like, no, this is we're not doing this. We're not doing this. And it's just LL. It's Eric Sermon who puts Red and Meth and DMX on it. Like he's the one who like actually puts most of this together. And I
Okay.
didn't really put this together, but it makes a lot of sense. It 4321 is a repurposed "Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See," and he specifically says that it samples "Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See."
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It's all he basically he said this. He said all I did was change the bass line, but the shaker, the hi hat, the kick, the snare, it's all "Put Your Hands."
Wow. Wow. because it's a very, it's, I mean, it's a posse cut,
Yeah,
and then the video comes out, and then the video comes out again, and Master P is on it.
because they because they were like, we can get a little bit of play down south, maybe.
We can get the, as I said on Twitter, like it's a testament to because Master P was doing records with, I mean, guy, he's got records with Jay-Z, Nas, like he's got records with heavy hitter
Yeah,
East Coast dudes. So it didn't stick out like a sore thumb like you would think. I mean, maybe from like a lyrical schmirical standpoint. But that's what people were doing in '98. It's crazy. Shout out to the Terrell Owens jersey he wears in that video.
so the timeline with 4321, just to close this, because if we spend this long on each song, this is gonna be a 10-hour podcast.
It is.
Uh, so LL, when he hears Cannabis's verse, which infamously starts with, oh God, where is it? Hold up. Starts with method where the gods at, Redman where the squad at, L is that a mic in your arm?
Like
Let me
in
borrow
arm, let
that.
me borrow. Yep.
And LL Cool
That's a
J,
good line.
it is LL Cool J, who apparently takes offense to everything.
Dog, that is not offensive. Let me borrow the mic on your arm because I'm a rapper and I need a
Right,
microphone.
right. He took it.
That's
So
crazy.
he tells Cannabis, you got to change the opening to the song if you want to stay on it. And he does,
Mm.
but then he still he still changes his verse to open with when young size fantasize of borrowing flows. Like
Tell us
Cannabis really just
what-
looked up to people, you know. Like he was trying to sign to Def Squad. He was trying. Like he was just trying before he was with Wyclef. He was just trying to get on. You know, like, and
He's just a young kid that can rhyme real
He's-
good and he's happy to be around people that he
Right.
looks up to.
right,
That's crazy.
right. I know. There's an alternate world where he signs with Def Jam, and the Def Jam machine does something with him in the late '90s, and that's just a different world. You know?
Cannabis is a completely different story if that happens.
Yeah.
If he signs with anybody but Wyclef, it's a better story.
All right. Before we
Oh,
get too deep
all
down the Wyclef train, all right, that's 4321. Definitely on
That's
my list.
Okay. See, now I want to know which song you thought was my song because I've got like 4 DMX songs that are my
Yeah.
song. Um. Okay, let's just go with the easy one.
Okay.
Um. Dang, there's a lot of easy ones though.
Yeah.
All right, let's just do it. Get at Me Dog is 100% on the list.
On the list.
Performing, recording that video at the tunnel. The look of it, it's black and white, it's gritty, it's this greasy, sweaty black man in a jam-packed small club. He's not wearing diamonds, he's not wearing a shiny suit, he's not dancing, he's not doing any of that. That's all you needed to revolt against the system. That beat is super hard,
Yeah.
and X is just, it was just different. It was different. It was different. Changed a lot of people's lives, mine included. So it has to be on the list. I don't have any. I'm sure you've got stories and all that stuff, but
I mean, I think it's actually kind of incredible that that's the first single.
just that's a gamble. That's a gamble.
It's a gamble.
That's a gamble.
And it gets to 39 on the Hot 100, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. That's not a record for the Hot 100 at all. Especially in early 98, you know?
You know, it's one of those things where like I feel like the deaths of Pac and Big kind of helped out
Sure.
because people were in such confusion. Like, what do we do next? And people were open to just about anything. And it also helped that the shiny suit era was just all-time high. And people were probably a little tired of it. Or beginning to be tired of it.
Yeah, I mean, Get At Me Dog is just like the video, the look, everything was really just, it was a statement, you know? Like, we're doing something completely different here. Completely different.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and, you know, I don't think that was ever really intended to be the first single, right? It was recorded after, it was recorded like late 97, kind of close to because the album was wrapping up by then. Um, if you've got records like Rough Riders Anthem, if you've got records like How's It Going Down in the Bag, you know, well, actually, I take that back. Rough Riders Anthem was like one of the last things recorded. But if
Yeah,
you've
that was
got,
like the last record. Yeah.
How's It Going Down, like that was always going to be a single, like, but yeah, they start with Get At Me Dog, and it's kind of the legend of DMX right there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
say, I'll be honest, it's not my favorite single from the album, but it's an iconic DMX record.
Okay. I know where you're going.
There are other singles I like better.
Yeah, you could go two directions.
Yeah,
It's you go two directions because there are two other singles on the album that are really really good.
yeah, for sure,
So I'm with
for
you.
sure.
I'm with you. Okay.
I'm gonna talk about one
Let's
of
keep
them right
moving.
now.
Was it
Stop Being Greedy.
has to be on the list. And I wasn't going to. People asked me if I was going to repurpose "Don't Panic"
Mm.
as a tribute to DMX, and I'm not going to do so. Um, no, he's not even in the ground yet, and people are making tributes and vlogs and all types, trying to get content out. No, but "Stop Being Greedy" is freaking amazing.
Amazing. Um, he uses the kind of like, I mean, Biggie does it on Warning. Other rappers have done it before as well. But he's got a couple songs where he does the kind of like two different vocal inflections to try to
Hmm.
tell a story. I mean, DMX as a storyteller is a little underrated.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Um, Stop Being Greedy is it's PK and Dame Grease, but it does not sound like if I told you that was PK, you'd be like, really?
Yeah,
That
nah, it
record?
doesn't sound like it.
It's the beat is just ridiculous. The energy
Yeah,
is completely ridiculous.
yeah.
Um,
It's like Touch It a little bit.
mm,
The Buster record, just in terms of the beat. Every is that 4 bars or 8 bars?
four.
Four. Every 4 bars, the intensity goes back
Right,
up. It comes
right.
back down.
And he takes advantage of that by switching his vocal inflection and using that
Correct.
as a natural way to kind of tell that story. As a
Correct.
natural way to switch it up. Um, I I I, I fell in love, and I used to just watch this video all the time. Like this video is like imprinted in my brain. Um,
And they didn't play it as much.
I feel like they played it a decent amount. No,
Nowhere near as much as they played "How's It Going Down" and "Get at Me, Dog."
well they kind of overlap. Like they didn't really let his singles run. Like because if you think about it, considering how many copies, because this album sells like what, 3, 5x,
Yeah, I think it's. I thought it was 4, but it could be more than that.
4. Yeah, you're right, 4. Um, 250 the first week, but it goes crazy from there. He is the
Sure.
sound. He is 1998 hip hop, right? And
Yep.
um, like Get At Me Dog is February, Stop Being Greedy March, Rough Riders Anthem May, How's It Going Down June. Like they gave they pushed this like they thought it was like they were. If you look at how quickly these singles are staggered, you would think, oh, they were searching for a successful single, but that's not true at all.
No.
Rough Riders Anthem, that thing played until the end of '98 into '99, basically.
Yeah.
How's It Going Down? That was all summer.
Yeah.
You know, um,
That was a summer record. You're right.
oh
I
yeah,
mean, the video
it's
reeks of a
it's a
summer song.
definitive summer. You know what? Definitive 15 summer records. That's an interesting idea. That's on the list. Um,
Yep.
but Stop Being Greedy is nah. It's an absolute classic. DMX, great performance. The beat is great. It's just like it's a level of like some people like DMX for very different reasons, and this is why I'm glad we're picking these different kind of records, right? There are definitely some
Mhm.
fans of DMX who are like they want the introspective records, right? Some people are like, oh, I know him from the party records. For me, it's like the hard record. Like he just has ridiculously hard records,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Stop Being Greedy is near the top of that list for me, for sure.
Yeah. If you ever want to go to the gym
Oh my goodness, it's
Yeah.
on my gym playlist. Remember the
Yeah.
gym?
No, I definitely remember the gym because the gyms are open here.
Oh, they're
They've
open
been
here
open.
too. But oh man, I didn't even tell you in the pre-show. But I got my first shot last week.
I saw that. I saw
So
that.
then
Yep.
less than 2 weeks from now, I get my second shot, and I got Pfizer. So then it's just 1 week after that, and I'm good to go, whatever. So like, they'll probably make me wear a mask, but I'm going back to the gym.
How's your arm feel? I heard the shots are like they make your arm feel dead.
Yeah, I got it in my left arm. The first 24 hours, I was just like, what is going on with my arm? Like it was
Wow.
incredibly painful. But then it was fine. Like basically, I took some ibuprofen, and the trick is you gotta like you think it would be the case, but like you gotta move it around, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like massage it even a little bit, like get blood flowing. If
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
you let it sit there, so like what hurt? So I was doing that during the day, and that was fine. What hurt for me is like I woke up like sleeping. So I woke up like at 3 a.m. and my arm was just stiff and hurt, and I was just
Yeah.
like, no, this is
Wow.
not it. But it was, listen, if they told me I was gonna have a dead arm for a week and and if that's what it took to get vaccinated, I'd be like, fine, I don't care,
Yeah.
whatever. You tell me whatever it is,
And that lasted what, like a day?
like a day tops.
Okay. That's not bad.
No,
That's not bad.
it's totally fine. Now
So
I
it's
hear the second shot is even worse, so I'm kind of like planning on, because I get my shot, it'll be the 22nd, which is a Thursday. I'm
mm.
kind of assuming that Friday might be a wash for me.
Yeah, I've had different people respond differently. I mean, much like COVID, where like symptoms are
Yeah,
different.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
People's bodies have responded differently to the vaccine too. Where I've seen some people be totally fine, and
Yeah.
I've seen some people get. You probably should prepare for the wipeout.
Mm,
Worst or best case scenario, you got a day off.
right.
Oh no. But worst case scenario, yeah, your covers over your head and you're eating chicken noodle soup with a soda on the side.
I mean, that's why the Johnson & Johnson shot is so important for people who can't really take a lot of days off. You get the one shot, and then you don't have to get the second one, right? Some people,
So that's it.
you got some jobs you can't really take. I'm sitting here talking like, yeah, I'll just take a day off. Some people are like, take a
They can,
day,
yeah, can
right? You
can't.
get
But
the one.
those are heroes. Remember, never forget, those are heroes.
We need to, at some point when we're clear of this, we might need to have a conversation about. All right, all right. So let me get I need my hero list updated. So every first responder, okay.
Yep.
Now it's nurses, it's teacher, grocery store. It's like, okay, who's not a hero? Let's start there. But also, if they're heroes, why don't you just pay them better? You can start there.
When I think of heroes as a kid, I think of Batman,
Sure.
Superman. Those are people who wanted to do it, or grew into, some people, I don't want these powers, and then they end up growing into it. Because you don't pay them, a lot of these people have to be.
Right.
I don't want to do this, but how else am I going to feed my family?
Right. It's like, I mean, for decades, right, the military has been like, we'll give you money for college and get you up out. And, as long as we're not involved in a war, that's a pretty good deal. But if
Absolutely.
you are our age or younger, then guess what? We've been at war for the
Mhm.
forever war, right? So, like, in that case, people are like, thank you for your service. And it's just like, I mean, I did what I had to do.
That's
And
what
I
I tell
didn't
people all
get
the time.
paid really well
Yeah,
at
I
all.
didn't. Yeah, I did. I supported. We sent supplies out there,
Yeah.
but I know people who like had to go boots on the ground and really had to put in work. So I know where it's on a scale, but like those are people. And even then, I've got friends who, like you said, they joined thinking like I just need to get out. I
Got to
need an
get out where I'm
opportunity.
at, right? If you're,
What?
I mean, so my dad did that. My dad was like, my dad grew up in a pretty below working class, basically poor. Like, he was
Hmm.
on food stamps a lot and growing up. Like, his
Yep.
he had a single mom who had like 4 kids. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
like, not a lot of money. So yeah, he joined the military, and
Yep.
it was a way out. You know,
Right.
that's the
College
way.
is not an option. Your mom can't afford it, or his
Right.
mom can't afford it. So what do I do?
See the
Probably the
world.
job area. Yeah. See the world. What? All right. Cool. Whatever I got to do. And then 2 years later or a year later, boom, war.
Yeah.
and they ship you out. And you're like, I was only preparing to do 4 years and get out. And now I'm in a war zone
Right.
fighting for my life, essentially. Crazy. I
We're,
digress,
we're
though.
all over the place today. All right,
We
you're up
are. So
next. What do you got?
DMX. How's it going? No, we're not going to go from military heroes and paying essential workers to how's it going down. Where can we go? Okay, I'm going to go slightly left.
Okay.
This is a collaboration I don't think is on your list, but I think
Okay.
it was important to tell the DMX story. It's an important part of the DMX story
Okay.
because it's the story that makes me the most mad.
Oh, I know the story, and yes, it's on my list.
Okay.
I think.
Well, because there's two records.
Yeah, and I have them as an or. I wanted to have the conversation with you.
Okay. So, the two records that we're talking about,
Yeah.
it's Murder,
Mm-hmm.
Murdergram.
That's right.
The group, DMX, Jay-Z, Ja Rule.
Yeah.
1999, 8 or 9.
Murdergram is Streets is Watching, so that's spring '98
Okay.
into summer '98, right? And then It's Murder is early
It's
'99,
early
I think.
99. Yeah. So so for people who don't know, that is like the mega group of all mega groups. When we first heard that that was being announced, if you were a fan of Def Jam Records, first of all, were you a fan of Def Jam Records? Your brain exploded, number one. Number two, in listening to all these songs, did you take account for how often these rappers were shouting out Def Jam in their songs?
I did not, but they did it a lot.
Def Jam, Rough Riders, Rockefeller, Smurda. Like, I'm like, yo, this is a major label, and all the employees seem to be very happy.
There was a lot of money floating
There's a
around.
lot of money flowing around. I picked It's Murder, and here's why.
Okay.
Spring of '98, Jay, Ja, and X are not who they are in '99. I think in '99, they're all at like different levels. They're all at a higher level. So the anticipation for the album is better. Also, I think that I think that the three verses that they give are better on It's Murder than It's Murdergram. But I think Murdergram is the better beat.
The Murdergram beat is crazy.
That beat is nuts, and I've been trying to find that beat forever.
I think Jay on Murdergram is.
Listen to Jay on This Murder. I was like, what? Kennedy style with your memory out.
Yeah, I know. Jay in '98 is a cheat code.
Oh, I have a hot take on it. I don't know if this song is on your list, and I'm sure it's on your honorable mentions. I don't know if it's on your 15, but I got a hot take.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to double back on a long stated Clock Radio speaker's opinion, and I'm gonna double back. But Jay destroys It's Murder. I don't remember that verse being that good.
It's Murder?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He destroys it. All of them do. I mean, creeping around corners, tell Shorty. You see them niggas creeping around, warn us. Like,
Yeah.
they're all. And Ja doesn't come off as much as the little brother here as he does on Murdergram. So that's why I went with This Murder. There's like,
Yeah,
they're
that's
just.
fair.
I think they're all stronger, but the Murdergram beat is better.
That's fair. That's fair.
So the rumor is, I didn't listen, but Irv Gotti blames Jay-Z for why Murder Inc. never
Of
comes
course
to
he
fruition.
does. He puts DMX on and he puts Ja Rule on, but he has nothing to do with putting Jay-Z on. Guessing he's a smidge biased? Maybe?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming part of the problem came down to money. But also, who's running the show? What's the album sound like? Right?
But Jay, it's because in '98, '99, Jay still doesn't have a sound. He's still running with the Biggie formula.
He is. But like, I'm guessing they probably would have wanted it to sound like. I mean, there is kind of a. It's basically the Irv Gotti's. It's like it
Hmm.
becomes the Murder Inc. sound, you know. But like, there's a sound of. I mean, I don't know. It would have probably. Well, that's it. You know what? I think part of the problem is like the three of them work really well on records like Murdergram and It's Murder. If you look at their singles, all
Hmm.
three of them together on a single, you'd have to get the right kind of beats. You know, like I can't really imagine Ja Rule on like a Swiss record from like late '98 or '99.
Really? I
I don't
could.
know. I can't imagine DMX on like a '99 Timbaland beat.
That would be interesting. That would have been
It would have been
interesting.
interesting, but
Yeah,
like the Venn diagram of those three isn't as big as you might think it is. Like
for
it's
sure.
fine on the dark, grimy records. That's definitely at the center.
Yeah.
But then it gets a little weird.
Yeah, I think Timbaland would have been. I think Timbaland was talented enough to try and fit that.
Oh, for
And
sure.
and I think the other thing when you said the murdering sound, I realized you saying that in the moment that we really downplay the Murder Inc. sound producing lots and lots of great street sounding records.
Yeah.
Because when you think Murder Inc. sound, you think of the evolution of shiny suits. So you think of
Right.
very glossy, living it up.
You think Down for You. Yeah.
Right. But those Ja Rule albums and those Murder Inc. album, the Murderers album, like
Yeah.
had some really, really great, gritty, grimy production. And probably, and I think that makes the difference, and I think that validates your point because I think all of their camps realize that if you're going to put a super group album together like that, it can't just be a grimy hippity hop album.
No.
So you're gonna have to produce some big singles. What do those singles sound like?
It's a harder question than you think. And does it
Yeah.
become almost like what you want to avoid is what you want to avoid what happens in the NBA when there's a trade and you put two stars together for the first time and the offense kind of goes your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. Like
Yeah.
you maybe you want to avoid that. So you got to find kind of something that works. I'm not saying they couldn't have done it. I think also just the budget for this in order for all three to feel like they're like basically I think the album has to probably sell what like triple platinum just to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
Ironically, nowadays this would be a lot easier. It'd be an EP. They just put it out for the heck of it, and nobody would care. Like you could just do it, but you just needed such a bigger lift. There's a reason why. I mean, also they were probably all looking at what happened with the firm, and they were like, okay,
Mm.
what do we not want to do with the firm?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and the firm album we've talked about a million times in the show. Rapper wise, they all kind of fit on whatever.
Yeah.
But production wise, the whole album is your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. So that also maybe had them feeling a little gun shy. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense.
And
Dang.
also considering how antagonistic Jay Z was with Def Jam about contracts and money and everything, like I have no doubt that like, you know, because Irv Gotti wasn't just Ja Rule's guy. He was like an employee of Def Jam. So I'm
That's right.
assuming that Jay and Dame were like, oh no. First of all, they're like, we're gonna get a certain amount of money, and it's gonna
Mhm.
sound like they're calling their shot. Why?
Right.
Like what? You know, I don't know. It also becomes just an interesting problem of like, are they really all three equal at that point?
Right.
Arguably, by like 2000, they're all roughly maybe on similar levels of stardom, but like
Yeah.
98 and the 99, not quite.
Right. Right. Dang. Excellent points.
I've been saving up points. You know, it's been a long time since we recorded. So,
Clearly.
all right.
I could just see you like you and Marissa watching TV and then you have like this very small notepad. You're like, you write it down real quick and then put it back in your pocket.
It helps that it's nice weather, so like back to running season. So I just think
For sure.
a lot of thoughts. All right, we still got a lot of records to go.
Yes, we do.
Let's see, where do I want to go next? Let's switch it up because we've been in the early DMX bag. Let's switch it up a little bit.
Okay.
Let's have the funny conversation. I think what these women want is a definitive 15 record.
It 1,000,000% is.
It's also ridiculous and hilarious. Like, you've never heard so much passion and confusion about why women he slept with and cheated on his wife with might possibly want something more. They're all like really mad that these women might want more. Yeah, they might. And then he just names names. It's unbelievable.
And people are like, yeah, like, women were excited. I remember the time, like, oh, he said my name in the song. Like, to just the way he was talking about, like, the unmitigated gall and the audacity for these women. How dare you? Come on, ma. You know I got a wife.
What were you doing in the first place?
And even though I'm not going to jeopardize my life, like, you've already jeopardized your life. And the funnier part is, for the last like 2 to 4 bars of each verse, when Cisco comes in and starts harmonizing,
they try to make it sound more epic.
Yeah, they build up the they build up the beat, and then Cisco comes in. That song is, I couldn't believe, because that's another record that they added stuff onto. There's a video version that's slightly different. There's more Cisco vocals. They give Cisco more to play with. I realized, was there a little bit of like a Dru Hill stimulus package that was going on around that time?
Interesting. So this
Nokia was making beats.
Yeah, and he tries to he's like talking, he's like whispering on the, or like low vocals on the intro.
But he was doing that back then.
Yeah,
he was doing it. He does
What You Want.
What You Want for Eve.
He does a Foxy record, Nana Be Like. He does Y'all Don't Wanna for Capone Noriega.
Oh, he does do Y'all Don't Wanna for CNN. Yes,
he
does.
Which is kind of a similar record.
Mm-hmm.
This is also like, when you hear the melody to this, it was also like, and Def Jam was really big on this for sure, but like New York rap in general was having like a very fetishized fascination with Asian music or Asian influences. So like, you hear the opening like melody to this, and it's just like, what is going on here?
I mean, I remember videos because it was rush hour, but weren't they dancing in kimonos or something like that?
Yeah. I feel like Dru Hill's whole aesthetic was really leaning heavy into that. I mean, Enter the Dragon, like they were kind of, the
dragon. They were dancing in pajamas and all. Yeah, that was a time. There were women. I remember the style for black women around that time, 99, 2000, 2001. They would have the bangs, and they would have the ponytail, and they would put the 2 chopsticks in the back. I remember that. That was a thing. Yeah.
So anyway, what these women want is, it's iconic. It's definitely like him. I mean, so that's from the 3rd album, right? And then there was X.
Mm-hmm. And then there was X. Absolutely.
Which is that quietly? I think that's his. It's his biggest selling album.
It is, because that has Party Up on it,
which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point.
Yes.
But yeah, it's I don't really think of that as his most successful album, but it really is, because
it's not good, but it's got strong singles.
It's got really incredibly popular singles. Yeah, man, that also did 698 first week. I mean, also, it was released the week of Christmas. Def Jam knew what they were doing. You put that DMX album in the week of Christmas, and you get all the gifts. You also get Kids with Money.
Yep. Peak Stocking Stuffers. And again, this is DMX. DMX drops 2 albums in 98. So his follow-up album is like highly anticipated.
Yeah.
What's my name? People kind of liked, but it was like X could do no wrong at that time. It didn't matter.
I like
We
What's My
just
Name a lot.
it's cool.
I
It was good. It was good
it's
it was okay at the time. It
I'm
was cool. It was
considering it
okay.
for my 15. You don't think it's in the 15?
It's definitely not my 15. Definitely not. But I've got two records that I know for a fact they're not in your 15.
Here's why I like What's My Name. Actually, are we done talking about what these women want?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna
I don't
say,
have anything. I don't have anything else to say.
okay, I'm just gonna jump ahead. I'll take What's My Name off my list since we just mentioned it. To me, it's on the list because for a certain kind of DMX fan, yours truly, the second album was such a problem, right?
Yeah, you've been on record not liking the second album.
I'm more sympathetic now that I understand what happened, right? Where it's like they had 30 days, they had some leftovers. They basically said, I mean, they were booking. I was reading a story this past week. They were recording it so quickly, right? It used to take a lot longer because you were mixing down to tape, right?
Hmm.
So it used to take a lot. Like it would take you like 8 hours to like just get one song like finished, all the stuff printed like on tape, like everything done. So what they would do is they wouldn't just book they would book like every room in a studio. Basically, wherever DMX went, whatever city, they would just book a studio with every single room, and DMX would just bounce back and forth while the producers and the engineers were getting everything done, and he would just go try to like do his thing to keep the whole machine moving because Def Jam was
Wow.
determined to get that album out. And so it's like it's leftovers and it's stuff that's rushed, and it's like I almost hold that more against Def Jam than I do against DMX
For
to a
sure.
certain
If
degree.
if that's the context, that
You
makes
know,
sense.
and despite the fact that Party Up and What These Women Want are on this album, like What's My Name? We talk about that Murder Inc. record, that Irv Gotti sound. That's an Irv Gotti record.
That's right.
It was to me very definitively saying, listen, I know we put out No Love for Me. I understand that. But DMX is here to make hard records. Don't worry.
Right. Right.
Because What's My Name? That's the single for the album when it goes number one that first week. I mean,
Hmm.
which seems impossible to me, but okay.
No,
You know,
they.
like
I remember
I mean the video.
the making the video MTV.
Yeah, I mean the Def Jam machine was like, okay, here we go.
Yep.
You
For
know,
sure.
um, but it to me that was it was supposed to be a return to form.
Yeah.
You know, because that first DMX album, yeah, he's got the crossover records, but as we talked about, he's got the hard, grimy records as
Right.
singles. So that's why it was there for me.
For sure.
Okay, I just did two in a row, so you should get two now.
Okay. All right. I'll do an introspective and I'll do a collaboration.
Mm.
Let's do the collaboration. Um we have to have no, we already talked about that. I feel like we've already alluded to the three. I have three more collaborations,
So
and
do
all three
I.
of them we've already kind of alluded to.
Well, maybe we should just knock them out.
Let's just knock them out. So the
Okay.
three that I have left:
Yep.
Money, Power, Respect,
Absolutely.
24 Hours to Live,
Absolutely.
Money, Cash, Hoes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They're to me they're all very different reasons for being. Well, at least two. There's one that's a very different reason why it's on this list.
Okay.
So why
Which
did you
one
pick
is that?
those three?
Well, because that was to your point. The okay, 24 Hours to Live and Money, Power, Respected to your earlier point about
Yeah.
DMX needing to attach to,
Yeah.
so DMX is attached to the, I mean, and at the time, I guess maybe that doesn't even make sense because the Locks and DMX are still relatively new when this comes out. But the fact that DMX is on this record definitely draws more eyes to it.
I mean,
Um,
money, power, respect is ridiculous.
it's also
That
a great song. It's
that
a
beat.
great song.
I
Beat
mean,
is crazy. Hook is
great.
crazy.
Kim on the hook is great.
Yep.
DMX comes in and kills it.
Yep.
Just kills it. At the
Everybody
end.
except Styles has great verses. Just sounds bored. But this is the time where Styles is probably the weakest member of the Locks, where it's Sheik is one, Kiss is two, he's warming up, and Styles is still trying to figure it out. Styles doesn't become the guy until like 2000, 2001, 99, 2000.
Yeah, Styles kind of like goes into his like he kind of like enters that verse a little, only time I could tell how the clock ticked. Like he kind of like
Yeah,
eases it. He doesn't attack this the same
he
way.
doesn't attack it. Yeah, he did. But Sheik is like, yeah, it's crazy. Same thing with 24 Hours to Live. 24 Hours to Live, it's attached to Mace, but it's also attached to a bunch of other guys that are also coming up. Jadakiss.
Yeah,
Styles is way more, actually, the Locks are way more aggressive on this. Black Rob as well. Have you seen Black Rob?
I heard he's not doing well.
He had 4 strokes. Yeah, he's not doing well. He's not doing well at all. Not doing well at all. He did not look good in the video I saw. So, prayers to Black Rob. So 24 Hours to Live, that's attaching. Okay, we're gonna strap the rocket to Mace, even though it becomes a video much later. I think it was
Yeah,
bubbling underground mixtape scene like long before. And again, DMX draws eyes to that song.
yeah,
And it was a good introduction because Mace is only dancing on Shiny Suit Records. He's on Mariah Carey Records. He's on Can't Nobody
yeah.
Hold Me Down. People don't know Murder Mace.
Mm.
So this was a good way for them to introduce Murder Mace without it being so jarring.
Who's got the best verse on this?
On
24
24 Hours to
hours.
Live, it's either Jada, Sheik, or DMX.
Mace
Actually,
is kind of hard here.
and Black Rob has a sneaky good verse too. He has a sneaky
The
good verse
first,
too.
the opening lines for Mace, you forget how ridiculously arrogant Mace was at his best. He says, "I turn out all the hoes that's heterosexual, and smack conceited right off the pedestal. I'd even look for my dad that I never knew, and show him how I look in my Beretta too." Mace,
He's like, oh, wow. So I'm going to turn gay women straight. I'm going to smack other people who are cocky, and then I'm going to find my dad and kill him.
that's right.
But then I'm going to take kids, under lower class kids, and show them that they can make it.
No, he's taking the rich white kids.
Well,
Take
but
them to the ghetto.
he's doing both. He's
Yeah,
saying,
that's right. That's right.
take kids from the ghetto, show them what they can have, they never settle, and then take white kids. Yeah,
No, they're all. I mean, yeah, a lot of people get good verses off, but like DMX, the fact that he is like
he's the
really
closer.
they have no reason to put it. Like it's not like, I mean, really, if Bad Boy were thinking about it, they would have put somebody else in the closing spot. But DMX has that verse, like you're putting him at the closing.
For
The way
sure.
he ends that, wanted to live forever, but this wasn't fame. Like, I mean, that's what you do.
My favorite part of this song is when Puff asks the question, and then he says, "That's some deep stuff right there. How would you handle that? A lot of pressure." Mace, what would you do? Oh man.
Okay, so
And so Money Cash Hoes is not, we're not strapping an artist to DMX.
well, you're not
Kind
strapping DMX to an artist. You're strapping an artist to DMX.
I'll say this. Okay, so it's twofold. It's twofold because when they create that song, yes, I think they're like, all right, we're gonna get, Rockefeller's like, we're getting the Rough Riders stimulus package, but this doesn't come out until after Hard Knock Life, So Jay kind of goes up to another level. So while this was initially meant as an attachment of strapping DMX to another artist, when it comes out, this is like, dog, this is Drake and J. Cole making a record. This is Jay and Kanye. This is, what I'm saying? This is Rakim and Big Daddy Kane. This is Pac and Big. Like, this is like two of the biggest artists who are at the top of their game at that time, and they're linking up with, the top producer right now.
Yeah.
So it's like it becomes something else because Jay experiences a new level of success.
According to Genius, and the internet's never wrong, this is a sample?
Is it really? What is the sample? Because we have to play it on the show.
It's if you here, I can send you the link if you need it.
Send me the link,
All right, hold up.
or just tell me what it is, because I'll look it up on mine. I gotta look it up on my phone to play
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's called Theme of Thief from the Sega game Golden Axe.
Wow. What where's it at? Okay, okay, people are saying it. Hold on, let me just play it. Wow.
That's it.
What? What?
I feel
That's
like I feel like my world is
crazy.
shifting beneath me right now. I don't even understand.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Never knew that.
never knew.
Wow.
And
All
here, all
right.
this time, we were like, oh, Swiss was just like, no,
Yeah.
no. He was like,
Swiss
hold on, let me
sneezed.
get
He
the
was
keyboard.
making
He
a
was
whole
like,
other beat.
no, it's not happening. I need more props
Wow.
in the show.
Yeah, that's the first time you pulled out. Wow. Wow. Okay. Shout out to Swiss. Shout out to Swiss. That's crazy. Okay. You do you have anything you want to add with Money Cash Hoes
No,
or keep
no, no.
going? Okay. All right. It's your turn because I not well. Do you want me to do another one? Because all three of those are on your list. How many more do you
I
have
mean,
left?
one, two, three, four. I'll call it six left.
Okay. One, two, three, four.
I think you
I
have
have
six as
seven. I
well.
have seven left.
Seven left. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So then I'll do another one so we
Yeah,
get first even. Okay. So here's
we're leaving some real obvious ones out.
we are. Um. Where do I want to go?
For the ones I have left, there's only like one I can imagine that's not on your list.
Okay.
But I'm curious to see.
All right. So I'll go. We'll keep it early DMX.
Yeah,
Um, the intro
yeah.
is Dark and Hell is High is 1,000,000% on that list. If there was a gun to my head
Hmm.
and I was in danger of losing my life unless I rapped the lyrics to this entire
Hmm.
song, I'd still be alive. I'd still be alive. This beat is who does this beat? Is this Dame Grease?
It's Stain Grease. I think so.
Beat is crazy. Top to me, it's a top five
Oh
intro.
no,
Who is it?
Irv Gotti and Lil Rob.
We got we still got it. We were supposed to do a Murder Inc. retro, weren't we?
Yeah, I guess we
We were
didn't do
supposed to do
that,
that
did we?
years ago.
Yeah,
Feel like we need to do like a deep dive on Irv Gotti production.
yeah.
Figure out something that's coming up that we could connect that to. If it's the 20th anniversary of Rule 336 or something like that.
Oh man, I didn't even realize that's a sample on the intro.
Is it really?
Oh boy.
Uh-oh. Okay. Well, all right, we're not going to play that on the show. We'll
No.
just put that
Oh
in our
boy.
back pocket.
Just all right.
Okay, so we could do for the 20th anniversary of Pain is Love.
That we don't need to. No.
I mean, a Murder Inc. retro.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
We
could
can just
connect
do
it
it
to some.
whenever.
Yeah.
Pain
Okay.
is
All
love.
right.
Wait, is that
Pain.
the?
No. Pain is Love is living it up. Always on time. Down in for murder. Uh, down chick. Down for you. I'm real. That's a huge
It's a
album.
huge album. It's a huge album.
But whatever.
All right.
But yeah, DMX
So
intro.
intro. No, it's and of course you got to talk about Mike Tyson.
Of course. So Mike Tyson fights Francois Botha, and I want to say 99. This is coming off of his Holyfield fight,
Hmm.
where he bites Holyfield's ear. Um, so Tyson had, I mean, to say Tyson had a black eye on him
Yeah,
was an
yeah, yeah.
understatement. But he comes out to this song, and to me, it's the most iconic
Hmm.
uh, boxing entrance that I remember.
Yeah,
Um,
it's January '99.
there we go. and he ends up knocking Botha out in the 5th round. But I was looking at the fight, and they were basically saying Botha was up on points up until that point.
Hmm.
So everybody else was scared but him. But yeah, iconic. Tyson comes out with the kufi, cut off tee, all black, to DMX's, and it's so scary that even the announcers had to like make note of it, like, oh, Tyson coming out to some menacing music. Well, yeah,
I listened to that. Yeah, they were just like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
It was very old white men in the '90s listening to DMX for the first time. Like, what is this?
Yeah. So that's completely iconic. Top five for me, easily.
All right, I'm picking a record that is not my favorite, but I think it has to be on here because out of all the DMX singles, it has had a longer life than I would have ever expected.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I'm sticking this, like I'm playing 15 songs, trying to introduce to somebody who hasn't heard this, who hasn't heard a lot of DMX, they've definitely heard this, and so I think that's a good thing. And that's X Gonna Give It To You, which out of all of his like later singles, right? So X Gonna Give It To You, Where the Hood At, I think the less said about Get It on the Floor, the better.
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe like his last like big, maybe super successful single. I don't know if that's true, but it feels that way. But what's been interesting about this song is like it's used in movie trailers all the time, it's used in TV all the time. Like this song has permeated the culture in a way that I would have never expected, and for that alone it's going on my list.
Absolutely. Agree with you 100%. On my list.
Oh, I didn't expect that.
Because my son is a gamer.
Yeah.
And that's why my son knows about it, because my son asked me, "Hey Dad, have you ever heard the song X Gonna Give It To You?" Because it's connected to Mr. X from Resident Evil or something like that. Or
okay.
I don't know if that's the guy's name, but it's a running joke that, every time he appears out of nowhere, that music comes on. That was like a meme that blew up. So for it to, it's not a song that I like, but for it to permeate generations like that, and if we're talking definitive, if my son is asking me about a DMX record, I think that it has to be on the list. It has to be. So I'm with you.
Yeah, what's weird is they didn't include it on Grand Champ, even though it was like recorded at this. It's from the Grand Champ sessions.
It's not on. Is it not? It's not on the album.
It's from Cradle to the Grave.
Oh, that's right. It was on the soundtrack. That's right. Dang, X was Cradle to the Grave. Was that the movie where he died at the end?
I've never seen it.
No, Cradle to the Grave is Jet Li. I'm thinking of Exit Wounds. He died in Exit Wounds. I saw all those DMX movies. Like, people talk about Belly. I watched all of those movies. Yeah, X Gonna Give It To You. I'm with you. Okay. Curious to know. I might have all the records that are on your list.
I think you have. I have 5 left.
Okay, I have 1, 2, 3. I have 5 as well.
Yeah, all of these are. Actually, no, I take that back. I have 4 left.
Okay,
so you got one that's not on my list for sure.
I'll just do that one.
I like how you know which one it is.
Mm-hmm. I know which one it is. So I'll do the one that's the Convo.
Okay, definitely not on my list. Why the Convo?
I always tell people that's the first Christian hip hop song I'd ever heard. Ever. And it's one of the reasons why, because you talked earlier about DMX being, the different, like using the different voices or whatever.
Yeah.
And we joke about how it's like, okay, well, how do you expect God to sound? Everybody, of course, has him in this big ominous voice or whatever. With that being said, I don't know if you've ever heard Silk the Shocker's conversation with God from the True album, but it's hilarious.
I haven't. I have to say I haven't.
It's amazing. I'll send it to you. But I think that the thing about the Convo is that it is such an example of DMX's transparency and authenticity, self-awareness, where he is on one hand aware of who God is to him, but also he is aware of who he is and what he's capable of, and how those two places are not as far as, you know, many people would think. And so me being 13 years old, hearing that for the first time was just something that, like, it always stuck with me. And it was one of the reasons why when I started, you know, getting into that genre and people would play me, oh, this is this. And I'll be like, well, nah, because my first introduction was like a real authentic person and sharing exactly where he was in his life. It has to go on the conversation. Honorable mention to Ready to Meet Him, because for me, Ready to Meet Him is a better song, but the convo is more definitive. Amazing record. Amazing record. I think that's Dame Grease too, right?
I think either that or PK. The two of them basically did the whole album for the most part.
I think so. Hold on, let me see. I want to see. That is, yep, Dame Grease.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Convo absolutely 100% on my list.
Yeah, you know, when Kanye was starting in 2016, and really the last 5 years of Kanye, when people were like, oh, look, Kanye West, is he becoming a Christian rapper? Or it's like, all right, listen. Do we forget DMX? Really?
Right. I think people were very stringent on, how do I say this? I think it's because all of the other content that DMX had, because of that, it was very easy for people to write him off. Like, oh, that's not authentic because he's also saying what these women want. You know, where it's both and not either or. Where DMX has this real authentic relationship, but also, you know, he has a very misogynistic view of women.
Sure.
You know, that just happens. That's the human experience for many people. And I think recently with his death, and even just, you know, where the church is just like exploring its history and how deep corruption goes in that, people are more like, oh yeah, no, I think X was genuine and authentic. And also because it existed outside of music, where you see one person, you know, they're only on the pulpit, and then any other, they're living fallaciously and it's a secret and whatever. DMX is like, no, this is all me authentically 24 hours a day. You saw that. And I think people in hindsight like appreciate it more, especially where we are now, just as a people. So, yeah, on my list.
Okay. All right, let's get to some of the absolute have to be. Everybody's got these on the list. I mean, let's talk about Slippin'.
Why would you listen to Slippin' anytime between Friday and today?
I don't ever. Slippin' is. It's a bit introspective and somber. You know, that's the word I want to use. It's a bit somber for my taste.
It's somber. I remember past episodes where you talked about you're not the biggest fan of the song. To me, it's a great song. I just don't ever need to hear it again now that he's passed.
I think for a lot of, like, you, when we talked earlier about like DMX and introspective records, I think like in the humanity of DMX, it's just like he was not really trying to pretend to be something he wasn't ever. And
Correct.
there are a lot of DMX fans who are DMX fans because of Slippin'.
For sure.
Right? That
Absolutely.
like beyond like the hit might have hooked them, like got them in the door, but Slippin', for a lot of people, they connected to that.
For sure.
You know, and I think like if I'm putting together 15 records, if you haven't really heard a lot of DMX, it might catch a certain person. That might be their hook in, you know?
Yeah. For sure.
And I mean, I feel like that video played forever on BET.
Yeah.
Forever.
I thought it was on MTV a lot.
Oh, I mean, everywhere. Like, you know, it was just they always played that record. Always.
Yeah,
always,
man.
Always.
Yes. Even the fact that the song makes it easier to introduce somebody to that record. because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if profanity is a turnoff, it's like, oh well, here's a DMX song where he's not cussing. So I don't know if you guys know this, but the explicit version is available on YouTube.
Hmm.
Yeah. Do you remember, speaking of Kanye, do you remember one of our you and I our early dealings was you reversing all of the profanity on School Spirit. And that traveled through soul.
I don't
It
remember
was
doing
like
that, but that sounds right.
I thought you did that.
I mean, I don't remember doing that, but I mean, that sounds about right because it's not hard to. Once you know, back then, Cool Edit, you open Cool Edit Pro and you're like, oh, reverse.
Yep. Yep. That was crazy. But yeah, I agree on all fronts. But it's too somber for me to listen to
Mm.
in 3 days after his death. Like I can't. No way.
Yeah, yeah.
No way. Can't do it. Can't do it. But it's still, to me, it's a great song. Great, like all that. Yeah. Absolutely has to be on the list.
All right, what do you got next?
All right, let's do another one that's obvious. Because we've already alluded to it. It's funny. There's three that are left. The one I'm gonna do we've talked about, but the other two songs that I think are left are songs we haven't touched.
Not really, no. Even though they're two of his biggest hits.
Yes. So I'm gonna go with How's It Going
Yeah.
Down.
The video version.
The video version with Faith Evans 100%. Why is it not on streaming services?
I got beef with streaming services because if you there's two, it looks like though there are certain like entries on streaming services that say featuring Faith Evans, but it's not the Faith Evans version.
It's not the Faith Evans version. Um, this song, when you hear the story,
Mm.
meets a girl. The girl has kids with another man. She's still dealing with him. They start messing around. Go to the second verse where DMX is basically like, "Oh, hey, um, I know the father of your children has caught wind of our relationship.
Hmm.
Let him know if I run into him, I'm going to kill him. Never mind, but forget all that. I need you to go take the snow up to 150 and see Joe.
Right.
Come back with the money.
Yep.
We'll smoke weed and celebrate."
That's right.
Also mentioning on the first verse when he's describing the girl, mentions that she looks like she's 11 with curls.
You know, yeah. It's,
There's a lot of, I mean, and DMX has been taken to task for it, but there are lots of, we'll say, questionable lyrics in his catalog,
yeah.
alluding to homosexuality, alluding to rape, alluding to, like, he goes crazy in some of these spots.
It's not uncommon for a 90s rapper, if we're being
No,
honest.
right,
Right.
true.
Go look at some of Biggie's raps.
Oh, for sure. For sure. For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, no.
But yeah,
How's it going down? I read a thing earlier today that I think is accurate. And I don't think I really saw it that way. How's it going down is kind of like this is the template that they're going to do in Belly, right? The relationship that Tommy has with what's her name in Belly.
with Keisha,
Yeah,
with not with Keisha, with um the other girl,
but just
the younger
I
girl, or
mean no,
with
but
Keisha.
just in general, like the way that they're like shooting DMX, the story they're telling, it's kind of not. I mean, obviously it's a different kind of story, but like the cinematography, the treatment, you could see how they did that, and they were like, all right, yeah,
Oh, okay. So I see where you're going because How's It Going Down, I believe, was directed by Hype
oh yeah, for
Williams.
sure,
Yeah. So the shots. So I could see Hype Williams shooting X and saying, "Man, this guy has
yeah,
a face for
yeah,
movies."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm. That makes sense. That makes sense. That video is shot really, really well.
You know, Hype gets known for the outrageous videos and the shiny videos, but I mean, it's funny because I need to go back and rewatch Belly. I really wish they would just sell me Belly in 4K It probably
Duh.
wasn't. It probably wasn't shot in 4K, if we're being honest, right?
It wasn't.
But
It
I
wasn't.
need it in 4K because I need that crystal clear.
I was thinking, I thought about you a couple weeks ago. What movie did, oh, so we haven't had this conversation and we're gonna have it next week.
Oh,
My son is an Eminem fan,
oh boy.
a huge Eminem fan.
Okay.
His introduction was Rap God.
Oh no. But
I
hey,
know.
okay,
It was probably a meme that he saw,
sure.
kids get into music. So
And
long
now he's
story long
rapping American Psycho. I see it's it.
So he asked me to watch 8 Mile with him.
Hmm.
So, but the reason why I thought of you
Uh-huh.
was because we rented it,
Oh yeah.
and I think we rented it from Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
That movie is shot really, really well.
Oh
When
yeah.
they upscale it, I was like, yo, this is really nice. In a way that we wouldn't have seen it
Mm-hmm.
on, my big box TV in 2002, even with the DVD.
Yeah.
The upscale, and then my 65-inch 4K, whatever,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, the upscale is like, now I get why because I'm such a proprietor of physical. I'm like, man, is there a way to get this like physically and then just rip it and have access like that? Because it's really, really good quality.
I mean, in that case, if you have a Blu-ray, and if you have
Okay.
some Blu-ray players will upscale better than others. Like that's the real quality. I mean, Blu-ray is always better quality than streaming. For me, it's just about convenience. You know what I mean? But if you have a 4K Blu-ray
Sure.
player, then you're not going to immediately get 4K from every Blu-ray, but it will be higher. It'll be really good quality. For some movies it'll be closer than others. I think part of the problem with a certain era of movies is like sometimes they cheaped out and they shot on cheaper film, which just doesn't have they can't get the resolution out of it. Also,
Yeah.
a lot of times if they haven't remastered for 4K, what they would do is at the time, because I don't know if you remember, like even like projectors in movie theaters used to be pretty old school. The first digital projectors didn't start showing up until like 03, 04,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they were only if there was any special effects, the special effects were only rendered at like 1080, maybe if you're lucky.
Got it.
Right? So when it's that when you notice and you're like, oh, like what were we watching? We were watching The Mummy.
The first one,
Yeah,
Brendan Fraser mummy.
that's right.
Wow.
Watch
Okay.
because it's on HBO Max.
Okay.
And so we're like, all right, HBO Max frustrates me because they don't have everything in 4K, and I don't understand why.
Mm.
I'm like, it's your movie, it's your back catalog. Where's the
Right.
anyway? And you're watching some of those special effects, and you're like, oh no,
Yeah.
oh no, that was never meant to be seen on a 65-inch 4K TV. No, no,
Mm.
no, 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 no. So,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
but I mean, Belly is not. I bet you, because I own Belly in my iTunes library. I bet it probably looks okay.
You think it looks okay
Because
compared to
first of all, there's no special effects. There's no
Right.
CG.
right?
Right, there's no Busta Rhymes in the video with Janet Jackson moves going on in Belly.
Right.
You know what I mean? I bet you that looks terrible at 4K, but like I'm sure it probably is okay.
Oh, that looks bad in
In
1080.
in
like-
360, yeah.
Yeah, that just looks bad in 2021. Good God. But yeah. 8 Mile looked really, really, really
Interesting,
good. So
interesting.
I imagine because I also bring up 8 Mile because on the same length, on the same page, like 8 Mile was shot really dark,
Yeah, yeah.
just like Belly was shot really dark. So I wonder if that upscale would help it out.
All right.
All right, so there are 2 more songs.
I'm gonna take I'll take Party Up. Let's do Party Up.
Go ahead.
Right, we talked about Swiss giving a lot of his hits to people not named DMX for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He gets him back with Party Up, which is
Yeah,
it's his biggest hit.
for sure.
It is it's an iconic Swiss beat.
It is.
It's ridiculous.
In what way?
There's a lot of whistles, but he's really just like he's you know what, I'll give him credit because like if you think about what was going on, like if you think about like what some of the other new producers in the late 90s were doing, it would be about the drums, right? Think Timbo with his unconventional tempo, or what Darkchild was doing, or even the Neptunes, right? Loud drums or whatever. Swiss was like, no, 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 no. We're gonna go heavy on the main melody. Swiss's drums are never anything particularly amazing. You know, he had a couple trademark types, and you know, he would do the little like scratch sound effect, right? Like, but that's but but Party Up is just pure like keyboard energy coming at you, and Swiss leans into it. You know, he knows that like it works, and as much as I make fun of it, there's a reason why people like that song. You know, the video is energetic. So the outro where he does the meet me outside part, that was like a last minute addition, and it apparently that, according to Swiss, that's what really convinced other rappers to have Swiss talk on their records.
Wow.
And so he started then charging people extra to charge on the record. He said he was charging $15K extra just if you wanted him to talk on the record.
Wow.
So that was like it was a sort of a spur of the moment, throw it into the last minute, and it ended up making him a ton of money. But no, I felt like that was kind of the Rough Riders Anthem was, which we're gonna talk about in a second. I don't want to lean too much into that. Was a totally different kind of collaboration for them. But at this point, Swiss is established, DMX is established. Like commercially, it's like the peak of it's like that is Rough Riders' peak, kind of. You know what I mean? Commercially, it is like, yes, Swiss and DMX, high energy. Yeah, not my favorite. It has not aged well to me, but people love it, and it will always like that has to go on this list. To me.
No, it you're absolutely right. I just hate this song.
I know.
I hate this song. So, you know, a lot of things that have been said. It's one of those things where lots of this is an auntie song. This is the song where like your parents and your grandparents got into it because they loved saying y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here. That became a thing.
You're saying they were percolating on the dance floor.
Yes. Yes. It was up there with Raising the Roof, where it was the thing that the youths did for about a month, and then the old people got a hold of it, and it was totally different. One thing that we don't talk about on this, and of course I got to get in my lyrical schmirical nerdy rap bag. This is a diss record.
Is it really?
Yes.
To who?
This is a response to Corrupt's calling out names.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
Yep. So people think that this was an Eminem diss because he says, I'm not him.
Right,
I ain't Slim,
right.
so watch what you do. That's not, no. That's not an Eminem diss record at all. Not at all. It is, however, a Corrupt diss record. Everything. Down to the you're whack, you're twisted, your girl's a hoe, your broke kid ain't yours, and everybody know. Yeah. I don't know why he just threw Foxy under the bus like that, but I feel like Foxy shot back and did it and said something in response.
What Wiki says about it is that Corrupt ranted in the Source magazine about DMX sleeping with Foxy.
That's right. That's what started the beef.
Right. And then on Calling Out Names, obviously DMX is there. So makes sense.
Yep. It's a diss record.
Interesting. I mean,
so it's back to back before back to back.
You know what? DMX is kind of a throwback of sorts to, honestly, kind of like someone like maybe Pac or Big, where like the beat and the song would make it a kind of a crossover record, but what they're actually rapping about is in no way crossover material.
Correct.
Right? Big was really good at that, and I feel like that's all, for the most part, DMX did.
Yes, very aggressive. I mean, he never changed it up where he was, he was never going to get on, in 99, 2000, he's never going to get on the, who's a pop artist or an R&B artist that he could have done a record with?
I'll tell you what. When
He's
Maya wanted the Rough Riders stimulus package, they did not call in DMX. They
they
called
called
in
Jadakiss.
Jadakiss.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So there you go. Because they knew what it was. Like there's no way Maya would have could have stood next to a DMX verse just based off of her brand. But yeah, man, party up. I hate the song, but it's definitive. It really
Yeah,
is. It's definitive. Um, okay, so the last one is of course
yeah,
Rough Riders anthem. Of course,
has to be there.
has to be there.
This song has aged terribly.
Like milk.
Just even like you can't even just say, oh well, that's just 98 Swiss. No, 98 Swiss had way better records.
100%.
DMX had to be convinced to keep this on the album.
He hated it.
Yeah, he said he recorded it. He said he wrote it and it was like 15 minutes. It was like nursery rhymes. He thought it was stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everybody try. I don't wonder why. They just wonder why. They just gotta die. All I know is pain. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. This is the song that solidified him as you. I'll be honest. I was more of like the backpacker kind of fan at this point in my nerdery, right, in hip hop, right. So I'm listening to a lot of Wu-Tang. I'm listening to whatever, but obviously I'm listening to popular stuff. But like for a certain kind of white male teen fan in the late '90s, often called wiggas, right?
Ooh, wow. Haven't heard that term in a long time. Yes,
They went when Pac passed. There was a real opening in their "I want to be a thug" heart,
for sure.
and this song solidified that DMX was about to be their new favorite. They could rap along very easily.
Hmm.
They had all sorts of new accessories to go by. It was really
Dog,
it was
dog chains, bandanas, cut off tees,
a
very
whole
easily.
aesthetic they could just
Very easily.
mimic.
And it's funny you say that because when DMX talks about this beat, he calls it a white boy beat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, the melody is so simple, but
yeah.
you know,
It
I know.
it it worked. It worked. And I'm sure that money has made him millions upon millions of dollars.
Hopefully,
Um, and right, I'm sure it has. But I can't lie. Like when this song came out, I loved it. Like
yeah, yeah.
I loved it. I share the story of freshman year English class. We were asked to write a report on something that inspires you, and we had to have like a visual aid. And I waited for 2 days and recorded the video to Rough Riders Anthem from Rap City and played it in my class as the visual aid because DMX inspired me.
Mm,
And so I'll always love it for that reason.
mm,
Nod to the remix on the Professional Part One,
mm.
DJ Clue.
I had that in my
But
honorable mentions.
yeah, mine too. I never need to hear the song again. Never need to hear the song again ever in life.
Is that
Was this the?
is that your most embarrassing thing that you did hip hop related at school?
No, no, was it? Dang, that is an excellent question.
Can I tell you mine?
Sure,
I
please.
definitely made my high school AP philosophy class listen to Inspector Deck's verse off Above the Clouds.
Oh,
Oh god!
boy. Dog. Of course you did.
Oh man!
Dang, that is a great moment. Dang, what did I do? I did a lot of embarrassing stuff in high school. What did I do?
Oh, you know what? I think I might have also made my creative writing class listen to Jay's final verse on oh my god, why can't I think of it? Hold on. Volume 3. Dope Man. I definitely made my creative writing class listen to the final verse on Dope Man.
Shout out, Serena Altschul.
That's right.
No, I know what I did because creative writing just started up.
Yeah,
So I had a creative writing class, And I took it twice because this is when I started rapping. So I'm like, oh, creative writing? I'll just write rhymes.
Yeah.
Found out that that was not creative writing class. But there was a point where we got to write poetry.
Mm-hmm.
So me being the lazy bum that I was in high school, I'm not writing that.
Sure.
We had to write a poem. We had to write a poem about what we thought love was. So what I did was I went to oola.com and I copy and pasted the lyrics from this underground rapper that nobody had heard of named Common. And he had just come out with this song called The Light.
Nobody's heard of that.
Nobody's heard of that.
Oh no. Oh man, I lost all of that. I didn't hear any of that. Oh no.
Did you? Oh,
No.
okay. Wait. I still have it. I'm recording on my end.
Okay, good. All right. We'll make it work.
I'm still recording. Yeah. 6 months later, 6 months later, it's the biggest song in the world. It's everywhere. Common suddenly decides that that's good enough to be a single, it's a household name, and I'm SOL. Fortunately, I didn't get in trouble. So, and the girl, if she put two and two together, she never outed me. So it worked out. But still, just nobody's gonna know who Common Sense is. Why would they do that? Nobody's gonna listen to Resurrection.
All right. I think our 15 are pretty solid.
Yes.
But we've got some honorable mentions we need to talk about.
Let's do it.
So, the one, like, I think out of his singles, there's a couple we didn't talk about. I just want to check with you to make sure we didn't miss anything. I don't like the song Back in One Piece. No. The song's not good.
You're crazy.
But I also, if I hear an Aaliyah record that's not produced by Timbaland, I just cross my arms and I think to myself, that's a waste of studio time. I'm really sorry, everybody. I don't love Back in One Piece.
Oh man, I love that song.
I know people who would probably put that as a definitive song for DMX.
The Aaliyah era was a time. So you don't put Maya on the record, but you definitely put Aaliyah on the record.
I mean, that's because they did the movie.
They did the
right?
movie. That was that Cradle to the Grave?
No, I think that was. Wait, was that Cradle to the Grave? Hold up. Romeo Must Die.
Romeo Must Die. First Aaliyah, now Romeo Must Die. Oh, Kanye. Okay.
Wow, Irv Gotti and Lil Rob did Back in One Piece, huh?
You know that's a sample, right?
I'm sure it is. Oh, it's George Clinton.
Yeah, it's a sample. First time NWA used it, and they used it. They used it better. Man, that Niggas for Life album. Hot take. Yeah. It's produced better than Straight Outta Compton. Ooh. The production on that album is amazing. Oh my God. The beats are crazy. It's just clear that MC Ren is not as good of a writer as Ice Cube. But whatever. Okay.
Why is the Romeo Must Die soundtrack 18 songs? I don't understand this.
Because it was 2000.
I know. There's some other singles we didn't put on here, like Who We Be and We Right Here.
No, Who We Be, like I said on social media, Who We Be is definitive because it was like layup line music. So if you play basketball in 2002, 2003, you were definitely trying to dunk to Who We Be. It's definitive for that reason, but I hate that song. I hate the beat.
There's a bunch of collaborations we did not list.
Correct.
I referenced Shut 'Em Down, but that didn't make the 15.
Okay.
We didn't talk about Grand Finale.
I love that song. Love that song.
It's fine.
You're killing me.
It's interesting how, like, I mean, I recognize Belly's not put out by Def Jam, but it feels like it might have been put out by Def Jam. Was it?
Yeah.
The soundtrack was, but like the movie wasn't.
Nah, the movie was like, was it like Polygram? Polygram?
Well, that's
no, it was New Line Cinema, right?
Hold on. Artisan Entertainment.
Artisan.
Who is Artisan Entertainment?
Artisan was putting out a lot of urban films during that time, for sure. Artisan, here we go. 97 to 2003. So they did let's see, Belly, Foolish, Ghost Dog, Blair Witch Project, Stir of Echoes, and a bunch of other movies I've never heard of. Oh, they put out National Lampoon's Van Wilder.
That's a college classic right there.
Yeah. Boat Trip. And Dirty Dancing, Havana Nights.
Oof.
What a time. Anything in the 90s? Oh, they did The Substitute. Fat Beach. Caught Up. There we go.
Fat Beach.
Oh, man. What a time. What a time. Jeez.
Grand Finale was, I mean, that was like a moment more than I think the record itself was. Yeah, that beat is a B. That beat is not an A.
Okay, I'll give you that. I think it's good to hear Nas on a faster tempo.
I agree. I mean, Nas is great on it too.
I think everybody kills it. I think Meth killing it at that time is a layup.
Yeah. That's a great tempo for him.
Yeah, Meth, and that's autopilot. Like he can do that all day. Okay, Grand Finale.
Yep. We didn't talk about Blackout.
That's my hot take.
Okay.
Jay does not wash everybody on that record like I previously thought.
Interesting.
I got X and I got Chic with the best verses on that album, on that song.
I think Jay has the best singular moment on the record.
Just with I'm a Monster.
I Sleep Whole Women's Wake Up in Smith Summers, putting up Will Smith numbers.
Got it.
I think the way he opens his verse is so ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm with you.
That's a moment.
I'm with you. I'm the meanest, toughest, done, da-da-da, gun butcher. Easy. Okay, I'm with you.
Okay. Remember DMX was on the remix of 8 Ball's Pure Uncut?
Yes. Yep. He
was everywhere in 98.
Yes, he was. Do you remember the We Be Clubbin' remix?
Sadly.
They say, yeah, it's terrible. I used to love that song. It's terrible.
J.O. Felony, What You Gonna Do?
Yep. Honorable mention.
What happened to J.O. Felony?
Hey, I could have swore I just saw him put out some music recently. I saw it on Lacali, I want to say.
So, that album comes out late summer 98.
I know what happens to him, but go ahead.
What happened?
No, go ahead.
I'm just trying to figure. I'm like, him being on Def Jam is just like, I don't know. Were they just like, hey, let's get one West Coast rapper? I don't know. Like it felt, they try, like What You Gonna Do tries to bridge the gap, like tries to get him with like a little bit of a Def Jam like sort of feel, but
yeah.
Then you look at like who's producing and who, like it's all like EA Ski and there's E40 and Cocaine appearances. Like it's just not a Def Jam album at all.
It's super West Coast.
Yeah.
During that time, like I think that more East Coast labels were looking at West Coast artists and like still trying to give them a shot. And What You Gonna Do was a hit.
It did okay.
What soundtrack? It was on a soundtrack.
Have Plenty.
Having Savage Theory. That's what's up. The problem was, do you remember J.O. Felony's beef with Jay-Z?
No.
He put out a record called Trued Up, and he dissed Jay-Z. I think it was in 2001.
Yeah, okay.
It was in response to Jay. What was Jay's line about going on the West Coast and something about the Source Award or the Soul Train Awards or something like that? Showing up to the Soul Train Awards, rocking whatever color I won or something like that. And J.O. Felony took it as a diss. I don't know if he was signed to Def Jam at the time, but I'm sure Jay made some calls and was like, yeah, that's not happening. because you don't hear
Interesting.
anything from Jail Felony after that.
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm reading a shout out to Shaheem Reed from MTV. This is a
Wow,
MTV
Shaheem.
still has their old news articles up, which is great. This is from 2001,
Shaheem Reed.
where Jo and Jimmy Henchman,
Oh,
are claiming that Jay Z basically got this song, tried to keep this song from being put out.
Trued Up?
Yeah,
Okay. Maybe.
yeah, because he goes at he apparently takes uh, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, he's because when yeah he basically just I don't know. Oh, he doesn't like stuff like Change the Game, because Jay was kind of flirting with. I mean, Rick Rock
Rick
produced that.
Rock.
He's from the West Coast, right? So Jay was still doing the Biggie formula. Whatever's hot, I'm gonna get that one thing, and it's cool and it's all good. And Jo was like, nah.
And it's funny, I think the Dynasty is the album that where he stops doing that.
That's the last one, right? Because then Blueprint, he's just like, I mean, he still gets a little, he's got like the one Tim record, but it's more of his own sound for
But
sure.
but Dynasty, it has changed the game and get your
Yeah,
mind right. But
right.
everything else is like more of a traditional Rockefeller sound, which later becomes,
Yeah,
because that's
yeah,
the first album that just Kanye and Bink all work on, right?
yeah. So you made reference to Ride or Die briefly.
Yes.
I like that record.
Yeah, that record's hard.
I like that record.
Again, Chic kills that record. Eve kills that record.
Yeah.
Yep. On my list.
Uh, Done started something.
Iconic.
Yeah.
Iconic. That record is crazy. That's a lot of people's introduction to X.
Hmm.
That made the mixtapes. I've heard some stories where people said that was their introduction. It's when I wished I dashed like abortions. Like kills that verse. And
Yeah.
that beat is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm still
That's
mad
a
that there's no like real the instrumental version that Dame Grease put out was like an unmastered version where the drums
mm,
are a little more they're more hollow.
yeah.
I don't really like it.
Cam's Pull It.
1,000,000%. Do you know this was back in the day when a song would make you want to buy the whole album?
Hmm.
The commercial for Confessions of Fire played Pull It in the background.
Yeah.
That 30-second spot made me want to buy the album. But then it got 3.5 mics in the source, and I found
Well,
out that they didn't clear the sample, and I
they
just
didn't clear the sample.
yeah.
The sample sounds familiar to me. What?
I, what is it?
I love man. If I would have had Who Sampled as a kid, it samples something from the main ingredient.
The main ingredient wouldn't clear a sample.
Right. I was like, come on now.
Oh, let's hear. Let me hear this. I want to hear this.
But interesting, nobody else has ever cleared the sample. So maybe there's something about this, like someone who co-wrote this song or something, where they just won't clear it.
Yeah, maybe.
It's just the whole beat. I mean, yeah. Dame didn't do a whole lot to it.
That beat is crazy.
Yeah, dope beat.
That beat is crazy.
All right, I just
Yep.
ran through a whole bunch of honorable mentions. What else you got?
All right, let me see. What do I have? I have um, some X stuff from the Rough Riders compilation. I've
Hmm.
got I've got Effing with D from It's Dark and Hell is Hot. I got Murdergram.
Hmm.
I've got uh, Ready to Meet 'Em. Blackout. I've got Top Shotter from the Belly soundtrack. I've
That
got
Belly soundtrack, man. Oh my goodness.
man, what a time. I've got ATF.
Yeah.
Um, I've got Damien.
Yeah.
I got Damien. I've got a record. Hold on, I'll go back to that. I've got a song I know you don't like. I got
What's
Why We
that?
Die, Busta Rhymes, Jay-Z. Yeah, I know
That
you hate
song's
that song.
terrible.
Man, X kills that record though. Scenario 2000.
Oh yeah.
Scenario
I forget. I
2000.
always forget about Scenario 2000.
Yep. Scenario
What was
2000.
that on?
Eve's album.
That's why I never owned that album.
Yeah. I bought that album over the Beatnuts. Was it Musical Massacre?
Oh, that's a dope album.
Yeah, I bought the Eve album. I was very upset. Life is What You Make It, Nas and DMX. Not DMX
Yeah.
smokes that verse. That might be my favorite DMX guest appearance. Favorite.
That's Dane Grease, right?
I don't know. Good question.
I bet it is. No, LES. Interesting.
LES. That sounds right. 99 Nas.
Well, because I mean, Dane Grease is on I Am, but yeah, interesting.
The last two I'll name because I have a whole bunch that I already know that you don't.
Yeah.
The last two I'll name. Get Your Stuff Right. Jermaine Dupri, DMX, the Mad Rapper from Life in 1472.
He was on that too?
Yes, he was. That beat is crazy. At the time, it was crazy. It's like it's like Jermaine Dupri's attempt at a Irv Gotti record. And then finally, Drag On and DMX, Niggas Die For Me. Had to. I had to. That song is terrible, but I love it.
Okay, I'm looking at the Life in 1472 track listing because I own this album. Obviously, I stand way too hard for Protectors of 1472 because it was a primo beat. It was a good beat.
It was all right.
I like that beat.
This album got some joints on it, but go ahead, run through it.
Well, Turn It Out with Nas.
Turn It Out with Nas. Shout out to Kanye.
Get Your Ish Right is hard. I forgot about that.
Beat is crazy.
Oh man, I can't believe I forgot about that. I haven't heard that 1472 album for a long time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just the way that opens up, like, yeah.
With those pianos. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Hard.
I'll get you. I'm just finding samples today. Who's sampling? Is that not a sample? Oh, no.
It's not a sample?
I mean, it's not on Who Sampled, I think. Is that really possible? No, I mean, if it is, they didn't clear it.
Hey.
It's
all good. You could just sample Sweetheart for me.
Now you distract me. I think the thing with Swizz and Money Cash Hoes is they didn't clear that sample. And if you ever read anything Swizz Beatz has ever said about that, he's like, yeah, I was just messing around in the studio on the keyboard. It's like, nah.
You were playing a video. You were playing a video game.
Playing a video game, and you were like, I'm going to sample that.
And that game, what was the name of that game again?
I can't remember.
Hold on, I'm pulling it up. It was, Golden Axe.
Right.
On Sega. Like, nobody's doing that.
Yeah. All right, man. Is there any other DMX records we need to talk about?
I mean, I still have a bunch.
Yeah?
I still have a bunch. Yeah, I have a bunch. I'm just gonna run through them and then we'll finish because we've been recording way too long. Okay, so Great Depression, number 11. It's On from The Professional. What else? Let Me Fly. Look Through My Eyes.
Look Through My Eyes, yeah.
Let me see. Slipping. Sincerity. Mary J. Blige, DMX, and Nas. Okay. It's one of my favorite. That's my second favorite flip of Nautilus. Who's Next from The Professional Part 2.
You really like The Professional more than I do, I think.
I do. I love The Professional. Do you remember Shot Down? DMX and 50?
No.
Yeah. DMX had do you remember Dogs Out that Kanye produced?
Oh yeah.
And then it had We Go Hard with Cameron.
That album's not good though.
Those three songs are I didn't like Dogs Out. I didn't like Dogs Out. That beat is terrible. Crime Story, DXL, Hard White from And Then There Was X. That record is crazy.
That's not good.
Let me see. Damien, the Omen, the Marilyn Manson record.
Yeah,
Yeah,
terrible.
it is. But at the time, it was like a song that I was scared of, but I would still listen to it. Uh,
Right, because had to keep that from
of
your
course,
parents.
of course. Do we want to talk about the Rollin' remix with Limp Bizkit, the Swiss Beats remix?
You know, I don't hate that
I
remix.
hate it now, but I loved it in 2000.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the Limp Bizkit remixes, they had a couple.
Did they? They only had was In Together Now's not a
They had
remix.
In Together
That's
Now.
not a remix, is it? That's the song, right?
Yeah, they did a whole. They did a. They had the. They remember the Neptunes remix of Nookie.
Yes. It was terrible.
So they put out a whole remix album called New Old Songs. They had In Together Now. They had a couple Primo records actually.
Mm.
Who knew? There's a Primo record featuring Exhibit and Limp Bizkit. Okay.
You know what you're gonna
Maybe Roland. Oh no, Roland wasn't from this.
No,
Interesting.
so Rollin' was like the last song on Chocolate Starfish, I want to say.
It was a time.
It was a time. It was.
That you know what it was? That was the second version of
Hmm.
Roland because there was the yeah
There's the rock version because the Undertaker used it when he stopped being dead and
right.
turned into a biker. Um, okay, last two. Do you remember Heat?
He
It's like the second to the last song on the, only because Heat.
oh Flesh of My Flesh.
Yeah, so my boy reminded me. DMX would really like make you like want to do stuff as a teenager. Heat had me thinking I could rob a bank.
Mm.
Like I could do this. I could get like three or four friends and we could rob a bank. And
Yeah.
then finally, oh, I forgot the we mentioned Mace take what's yours, but here we go again with Jadakiss. Because
What's that from?
that's from Kiss the Game Goodbye. That's from his first album. Because that's the album where that's the song where Jay or with DMX this is Jay, I only gave you the crown so I could shoot it off your head.
Mm.
And then that's the song that starts Jadakiss versus Beanie. I give you a
It's not a
reason
good
why I'm
record
the
though.
truth for real. Nah. It's still definitive to me because it
Mm.
starts there's
Right,
so
right,
many
right,
diss
right.
records going on during that time. I don't hate that record the way. But yeah.
Lot of these Rough Rider albums, once you get to like the back half, it gets real questionable real fast. But I hear you.
Yeah. So that's it. I still I could go longer, but we've been talking
Yeah,
for
yeah,
too long.
yeah, yeah.
X was my guy, and you know, yeah, it was my
I said this on Twitter. He's a one of a kind.
for sure.
There needs to be a hip hop. I'm really serious, but there needs to be like a real hip hop Hall of Fame. Like I don't really care that the Rock Hall of Fame is basically now just the Music Hall of Fame. That's fine,
Hmm.
but like there needs to be a real hip hop Hall of Fame, and DMX is a first ballot,
1,000,000%.
like unquestionable.
Yep,
You know, I don't love all his albums, but he's a one of one.
he's iconic.
Yeah.
He's iconic. He's iconic. Man, is he on like a? Is he on like a '90s Mount Rushmore?
That means we're limiting to four.
Yeah,
Okay, so Pac and Big take
90. So
two.
90 to 99,
So Pac and Big take two, no question.
without question.
Snoop probably takes a third,
Mm,
maybe.
yeah,
That's tough.
you could argue that for a spot. You could argue it.
I think it's an argument. Ice Cube,
Cube's in the argument.
LL's
Nas is in
in
the
the argument,
argument.
maybe.
LL is.
Nas is definitely in the
Yep.
argument.
Yep.
Jay's not. Well,
I wouldn't put him in.
maybe.
I wouldn't put him in the '90s. I wouldn't put him in the
Yeah,
'90s.
maybe not.
I put him in the
Maybe not.
2000s or hip hop as a whole.
Sure.
But if I'm just going 90 to 99,
Would you put anybody represent Wu or Tribe or?
yeah, I thought about Q-Tip. I thought about maybe Method Man or RZA could just stand in that place for everyone. But
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah, I know.
yeah, I don't think so.
Q-Tip really the most underrated dude in hip hop. One of the most
Without
underrated.
question, he just celebrated birthday. I think he turned 51 yesterday.
Our heroes are getting old, man.
Best drums in hip hop. I argue that all day. Best drums in hip hop. So I think we're good. I'm done.
I'm done too. So thank you everybody for coming back to Cloud Radio Speakers after a little
Hey,
bit of a break. And Armand, it's good to see you again.
yes,
Glad to
likewise.
hear everything's good with the family. And
Yes,
I don't know when we'll be back again, but we will be getting back soon. If you heard this, you stuck all the way through, and you're not a Patreon subscriber, you really should check it out today. Patreon.com/CRS Podcast. Armand, I'm guessing you have nothing to plug.
absolutely not. No,
Excellent.
no.
All right, everybody. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll be back.